Okay. In order to facilitate the live stream effect on Facebook, I actually have to go over to Facebook, you guys, and click public. It's weird. StreamYard's a strange thing. It will literally turn your stream over to, and we're getting a lot of red lighting today. It'll literally turn your stream to private only. It's a weird thing. So hello everyone. We're making sure we are viewable across the strange internet world. Hello for everyone out there in YouTube land. Thank you for rolling in here. We don't always necessarily do a lot of YouTube stuff at the School of Multidimensional Intuition, but we are back. And so we're going to start out today. I'm just going to kind of clear this area. We're going to clear this zone. Some of you guys are, here's the cool thing. This is how you know that we are truly in a multidimensional age, even in your own space, in your own world, in your own room, in your own car. Some of you guys are going to smell this. You're going to get a whiff of this. We're just burning some Palo Santo here, clearing the space. Hi from Montana. Hello, Sarah S. Montana's probably quite cold at the moment. We're down here in Los Angeles, which, you know, by California standards, it could be really cold. It could also be really hot, but it's like summer and then it's like, you know, winter one day. On Tuesday, it's a whole different world. Today, it's about 80 degrees down here in LA. And so, hello, everyone. Come on in the room. For anyone out there in Facebook land, let us know if this stream is working before we get started. Facebook is a curious creation when it comes to doing live streaming, like the dual stream, especially with StreamYard. And yeah, it looks like it's working. Let me know how you guys are doing out there. We are at an interesting crossroads in 2021. All of the clients that I shouldn't say all of them, but large amounts of the clients that I've been working with, even just myself in my own world, even other practitioners and other mystics and intuitives that I'm in contact with on the earth plane, everybody's feeling it. I was even describing it this morning in a session that I did earlier today. It's like a lot of us are being brought up to kind of like a metaphorical cliff, sort of this jumping off point in their personal lives. For some of us, it's in our relationships. For some of us, it's in our careers. For some of us, it has to do with social events and things that are happening. And we are quite literally at a little bit of, I wouldn't call it so much as a crossroads. It's kind of like a jumping off moment. We're at that interesting point in the cycle that we've all been through in which it's time to do something entirely different. Sometimes it's something a little bit crazy, a little bit bold, but anyway, it's good to see you guys. Hello, Never Surrender. Love and Light from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for being here from Australia. I mean this very sincerely. I don't know how we've sort of reached across the world. I don't know really at what point this sort of became an international thing, but I would say maybe about 6 or 8 months ago. Yeah, so this was probably in summer of 2020. There was a few weeks where I realized every single day of the week I was talking to a person in another country, on another continent. And it was just one of those interesting moments when you're doing this work, or you know, you're just doing what you're doing and you realize you're like, wow, we're literally working with people all over the world at this stage. And I think there was one day where, you know, I talked to somebody off a little island off the coast of India in the morning. The next few hours later, it was somebody in Thailand. The very next day, no joke, we had somebody from Norway, somebody from the UK, and a lot of people from Australia. So thank you for noticing the work that we're doing. Thank you for being able to hear the call. I mean this very sincerely. If you're one of the people, and this is me getting weird instantly because you guys knew I was going to do it, but this is a real thing, and some of us are going to see this expand more in the coming years. But we are entering, for some of us, what some call a very narrow band frequency range, in which you are only going to be able to perceive, or you'll be drawn to, the frequencies or the people or the situations that are either appropriate for you, that'll vibrate along with you. In some cases, it'll be a very dissonant vibration and you'll be drawn to it because it's so crazy and wild. And, you know, but we're at the stage in which you are going to be guided by frequency. I think that the transmission of frequency, whether it be frequency of emotion, some people have heard me talk about frequency of truth, thought forms are being sent through frequency now. And if you are here, on this strange little live stream, you've been able to perceive that frequency. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Good to see you, Cassandra Fileski, Nancy Vernon. Hello. Yes, intense as hell. Absolutely. I feel you on that. Carrie says, I feel it in my sacral. You are not alone in that. That's a very common thing right now. There is a very tangible kind of wavelength of energy. It's like a little flicker of a flame down there. Some of you guys in the classes we've been doing have been working with the blue flame. We also have a Patreon group. Don't worry, I'm not going to go into self-promotion yet, but quite literally called the Blue Flame Collective. And for some of you guys, it's going to be old news. You're like, yeah, obviously, Matthew, you talk about it all the time. But for other people that are rolling in the room and are just learning about this stuff, you're going to be feeling the uprising and the change and the increase. And for some people, it's passion. For some people, if we don't have passions, it can turn into frustration. It can turn into bitterness. It's a wavelength of energy, though, that's rising in the body on a collective level. For those that are having that energy hijacked and misused right now, for those that have given it away on a certain level, those are people that are being called to gather en masse through a lot of like the political nonsense that was going on over the past few months. They're having their energy hijacked, and so they'll get pulled this way and that. For those that are cognizant and aware and a part of this, you know, if you want to call it an ascension, you can call it an ascension. If you want to call it a, you know, awakening, whatever you want to call it, it's cool. But for those of us that are cognizantly aware, we're going to be noticing this shift. You're getting drawn toward new people. You're getting pulled in new directions. Certain things, especially old truths, things that we sort of bought into for many years, part of sort of like the gateway property that comes with, you know, receiving higher dimensional information is that we will come to this stage in which we have to revise. We have to completely deconstruct and analyze all of our previous conclusions about our understandings of the world, what it means, etc., etc. And so for a lot of us, we're at that stage. I think it really asks us to kind of step up our game. And you know, when I say step up your game, I mean very, very deliberately step up our game in areas of discernment, in clearing density from the energy body, in deprogramming old emotions. Yes, I see your comments. Hello. I'm already going on a weird rant here already, huh? But yeah, we're at a really opportunistic stage for people that are willing to make use of what's being granted to them. Hello, hello. Hello, Miriam. I came in here because the thumbnail looked dope. Thank you very much. It is no mistake. I mean, truly, there are no mistakes at this stage of the game. If there's one thing that you should know about your earth-based life, especially if you're one of the people that's like, I clicked on this random thing. What? Oh, God, what is this? What the hell are we doing here? If there's one thing you need to know, and first off, take it all with a grain of salt, but nothing happens by mistake. At this stage of your journey on Earth, most of the key events, the intersections, the people, the moments that show up in your world and cause you to go, those are events that are designed. Nothing happens by mistake at this stage of the game. It even gets a bit more intense for those of us when we get past age 40 and onward. We get to, this also begins, I think, in our mid-30s, but there's always an exception in which certain key relationships, key cycles of social inclusion, you will notice for those of us that are over 40 is that you will receive another cycle later on in your life in which you will revisit all of the old cycles of social inclusion, social hierarchy, the stages of identity that you had at a previous stage. And so everything recycles over and over and over again. And so for those of us that are able to identify those repeating cycles and you're able to break them, at least for me, upon breaking those cycles has been, I mean, it literally catapults your life into a whole other stage. Anyway. Thank you, Nancy Vernon. She says, I'm not sure where I'm heading yet, but I'm done being sad about it. Had to shift and be open to here we go again. I feel you on that. I think I'm kind of in a here we go again period as well. For some of the people that are here or that are in our classes, hello, by the way, I see you guys. Thanks for being a part of this. We just ended a really cool chapter. We just closed out a 7-week kind of a chakra expansion journey. And for those of you guys that are finding this channel, especially people on YouTube, that's primarily what this channel contains. A lot of the energy work and some of the intuitive development practices and a lot of the clearing protocols that I've been putting together. And I guess to be really honest with you, have been freely given to me through my own journeys of self-healing and working with clients. And so One of the other things that we do is multidimensional tarot. And we're going to be doing some of that today. Some of you guys probably saw the previous live stream, and so we are going to be doing readings in a little while. But yeah, thank you for hanging out. Hello, Kate Hockaday. I see you in Facebook land over there. Suzanne Netterstitt. Also, thank you for being here from Facebook. Facebook has a weird effect on suppressing the live streams I do. They keep it locked in like what feels like about a 25 to 30 people minimum. It's a really weird thing that happens on Facebook. Either that or just not that many people watch me. I've also come to that conclusion. I think because I don't toe the line of like popular kind of like I don't toe the fantasy timeline worldview of a lot of the current political madness. For me, it's literally entertainment. I love it. I love watching it. I love all of it. But I honestly, I really stopped buying into really most of it a while ago. And that's not saying that I know any better. I'm really careful about saying that. I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, guys, I know what's really going on. Because I think if you want to get technical, no one really does. We're all figuring it out ourselves. But we do have this weird ability to identify the frequency of truth. There's some people that watch my live streams and they're all, oh God, here we go, frequency of truth again, right? Oh God, here we go. But no, really, there is an ability within your body. It's like a barometer for resonance that you can unlock. You can activate it. You can hone the skill. You can literally, you can truly enhance your ability to understand and perceive resonant truth. Even if it's not a timeline or a worldview that you coincide with or understand, we have the ability in the human body to feel vibration, very much like a polygraph test. And for those of us that know polygraph tests, we know they literally do not measure truthfulness on any level. They're reading a biofeedback response that occurs within the human body upon having an emotional reaction to a question. And so, you know, it's not really what it does, but what we have the ability to do in the human body is exactly the same thing. And so, you know, like in my case, I kind of stopped towing the line a while ago. And the only plan I trust is the one that I believe we all created as a multidimensional soul group prior to entering this physical realm. We literally, well, I shouldn't say literally, right? But for many of us, there were a lot of gatherings. There were actual meetings. Some of us are here as part of a multidimensional higher council here in physical bodies as well. Actually, most of us are on some level a part of some sort of organizational group that chose to incarnate en masse together. But a lot of us set up these strange experiences, these weird understandings. And so, hello there. Hello there, Suzanne Netterstedt. I tried to watch and listen. Absolutely. I feel you. Especially if it's probably like 1 a.m. in Holland. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, Anita Rose. I don't know that I wouldn't say my bullshit meter is on point. I think that I've embraced a lot of Sagittarian qualities in myself as I've gotten a little bit older, and I'm just willing to go like, I don't know, feels fake. Not that I'm right, because I'm really one of those people, you guys. I think one of the keys to understanding what we call the frequency of truth, or your body's own ability to gauge what's true or real or resonant or actually happening, part of the process of unpacking it and honing it is you have to be willing to be wrong. And this has just been my experience as a person who's done a lot of solar plexus chakra work in my own life. And if you're one of the people that's here and you're wondering, Matthew, what area of your body would you begin to work with or heal or unpack or just, you know, start to work on that's going to help you begin to discern the tangible vibrations of realness and truth? It's your solar plexus, at least within the chakra body. If you want to get technical, somebody's going to roll their eyes out there. They're going to be like, oh God, here we go. But really, if you want to get technical, there's a number of valves, energy centers, pathways, meridians, emotional resonance within your organs, the nadial complex that will all also play a huge role in how we discern the frequency of truth. But if there was kind of one center in the chakra body, it's going to be the solar plexus. And so, anyway, what we're going to be doing here today, otherwise I will probably continue on a rant about frequency of truth and multidimensional anatomy before we do some readings. But what we are going to do today, It's a little bit of a question and answer thing. And maybe some of you guys saw the post that I put on Facebook. Most people don't. But if you did, we're going to do a little bit of an AMA. If you know what AMA means, then you'll know what to do. I'm going to answer literally any question, literally any question. It doesn't mean that I will answer all questions, but we're going to answer any question that you have, literally anything. And so please throw those in the chat. Think you never surrender. I haven't watched mainstream TV or listened to radio for a few years. I only watch things that vibe with me. Thank you for being here and watching this. I will say that I truly am I cannot watch TV anymore, you guys. I don't know why. I want to watch TV, literally. I mean, truly. I want to be able to sit there and watch Netflix and watch all these shows that everybody's watching right now. And it's like I've tried to, and something in my brain just cancels it now. It's like I can't focus on the TV. This weird buzz comes in. We actually got cable, or like whatever, I think it was cable recently when we moved to this apartment in Los Angeles here. Oh God, actually I shouldn't say recently. Damn, that's like 2 years ago. And we got cable instantly, and it was like I couldn't even handle having it on. And maybe that's a thought form that I had, like maybe that's just weird thought form, but I could not even process watching television. We kept it for a while when all the riots were going on last year, and I actually enjoyed watching the news and whatnot at that stage. And I'm definitely one of those people that will tune in and watch CNN every once in a while. I know everyone hates it, but it's like I kind of like to watch like the madness of what's going on and just get an idea for what everyone's doing. But I know it's really, really hard. I really can't. I don't know why. I will say one thing though. I listen to a tremendous amount of radio. I am one of those weirdos. I've been listening to Coast to Coast AM probably every single night. I've been listening to Coast AM almost every single night since 2008. I'm like a weird creature of habit on some levels, and it's like I always listen to that show. So I do listen to some mainstream things, but pretty much most of what I consume is really just the people that we know here within the YouTube community and within kind of like the soul group that we're all a part of. And so yeah, anyway, thank you. I do see some questions, and I love this. When I said ask me anything, I was totally for real. Miriam said, who will I marry? Thank you for those types of questions, and I mean this very sincerely, especially when we approach it through the context of things like psychic readings or intuitive readings. If you're willing to stick around for a little while, we will do a card reading for you. But those are questions that, are really commonly asked to intuitives, or what I call fortune tellers, people that you'll encounter out in the regular world, and they'll pull some cards and they'll be like, okay, sweetie, you're going to have 3 kids. And at this age, you're going to do this. And don't worry, you're going to do that. And lots of money is coming your way. Or, this sort of interesting kind of theatrical song and dance kind of prescribed, like connection with the spirit realm. And what I've seen as a person that does this professionally is that, the question of who, the question of why or when, those are actually questions that we are given the absolute power to decide for ourselves in this world. And so I would just say as a person that does this work professionally, it's not really so much about who. It's about what can I do to create the timeline or to create forward movement in my life that will facilitate the appearance of the person that I'm going to have that with, or whoever that next person is for me. And so, at least that's just my take on it. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Please do. I'm definitely one of those people that, I will tell you the way I perceive it. But the other thing you're going to find for those of us in this ascension community is you're going to, you will get a reading, or you'll have an experience with one individual, and you'll go to another one, and, it's going to be an entirely different or a whole other frequency of, or rather they will perceive something entirely different. And so I like to leave room for the interchangeable, multi-purpose nature of reality. Everyone perceives this differently. And anyway, I'm just giving you my perspective. I'm also one of those people where you can totally call bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like I am not one of those people that's like, this is the absolute truth. And so who knows, man? I am learning this stuff alongside you guys. Sarah has a question. Thank you, Sarah, on YouTube. She says, "What do you know about Pleiadian Semjasa? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I have seen it. I have seen it before here, actually. Boom! Thank you. I just realized StreamYard allows us to do this, you guys. And so I'm gonna give you my own intuitive reading of what this name represents, and I want you to take it with a grain of salt." I believe that at least what's being shown, okay. All right, okay. I believe what's being shown in the energy of the moment about the name that's being stated here is actually a very common name used by many beings throughout the multidimensional realms. It may perceive to one singular identity to which you're referring, but at this stage it appears as though it is very much like a thought form or sort of like a collected piece of energy. You will be able to make contact with whatever that represents in your mind. It might even show up within your meditations as some form of a distant acknowledgement. I believe that there are many individuals with this name. You may even have a guide or just a pertinent being within your spiritual hierarchy or your team that's going to be resonant with the vibration of whatever that means to you. I think if we're looking at this name Semyasa on a collective level, to me it does not pertain to any one singular being, such as a, you know, what we might call an ascended master or even a really popular ET. I think that you're referring to a name that's going to be found all over the multidimensional realms, kind of like how there's a bunch of Scotts or Steves or Joes. And, you know, in this case, I would say if you feel resonant with that energy and it's something that you want to seek out, continue to place your consciousness on it. It does not, to me, feel like anything. I use the term divergent, which could mean many things. It's just something that I have assigned for my own purposes, but it doesn't feel like anything parasitic, but it also doesn't feel necessarily very, doesn't feel like a specific being. And I want you to please take that with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah S. I appreciate you. I'm going to tell you straight up, I do not believe that that being, if you are making contact with that, is the actual mother of Jesus. You're going to find a lot of, this is actually a good thing to talk about, you guys. For those of you guys that are starting to move your consciousness outside of the physical body and you're having these interesting experiences in a meditative state in which you're encountering a number of different types of beings or consciousnesses, and they will present themselves as this or that. And in my opinion, that's a very, very common experience that occurs when your consciousness is actually moving outside of the human body. However, I have never found an actual being that needed to identify itself in such a way, meaning that there is a frequency or a knowing or a vibration in the experiences I've had with what I have believed to be such a carefully used term, fifth density consciousness, or we could even say upper octaves of fourth density consciousness, is you will know exactly who and what it is upon receiving the information. It will be absolutely undoubtable through every fabric of your being. I believe that when there's a question mark or when somebody shows up in your consciousness and is like, I'm so-and-so from such and such, you know, to me, that is a message or some possible manipulation. And let's be real, when we're in contact with multidimensional beings, some of the manipulated responses we can receive can actually be used for positive purposes. It's a very strange thing, but it does happen. And so I would say just be aware of what shows up. Trust your instinct, trust your gut. There's been many beings that I've encountered where you'll do this thing and you know, people say, question them 3 times and they must tell you the truth. Honestly, I have not encountered that. I have not seen this thing where they have to tell you the truth on the 3rd answer. I just have not encountered that. And so in my opinion, there are certain entities or intelligences that we experience in the astral realms that will only lie to you. They can only deceive you. It doesn't mean that the deception in certain cases, believe it or not, can actually lead to positive results. But if they're self-identifying, usually that's like a weird, you know, to me, that's a warning sign. But I also say I'm approaching this through, you know, everyone on earth with this 3rd to 4th density consciousness. And so at the same time, there's going to be so much about it that I don't perceive. Anyway, that's why I always say take it with a grain of salt. Too many times. I say it all day long. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Josh Gladfelter, thanks for being here. He says, I've always felt like I've been an outcast intuitive. It's intriguing to think of the concept that our souls have reached this YouTube channel for a reason. Oh, Lord, it does. And here's the thing, though. I'm not one of those people that, has this ego that's like, if you've shown up here, it's because of this, wildly mystical reason and your life is going to change. Sometimes it's literally just to have a brief moment with people and you go, yeah, man. And then you go on your way. And so I'm not one of those people that chooses to assign some incredible relevance to each and every one of those no mistake moments. But I would say after 44 years of being a weird human here, I've learned that there's very, very, very few mistakes. In my heart, I believe there's none, but part of, I think, the fundamentals of living in a seemingly, what we call, oh Lord, I even forgot the word I was going to use, free will realm. Is it really? I don't know. But part of one of the hallmarks of that is that things are seemingly random, and it comes also with the what I believe could even be an elemental force of chaos. And so anyway, not to go on a weird tangent. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Teresa Armstrong. She says, excuse me, she says, how can I block remote viewers, entities, interdimensionals from spying on me or monitoring me? That's a good question. Thank you. I'm going to give you my opinion first off. My opinion is I don't know that it is 100% possible to block all viewability or all energetic transmission on the earth plane. In my opinion, part of our fundamental experience here is that we're going to be placed in contact with a variety of frequencies and forces. I think that if you feel invaded, if you feel oppressed, or if you feel that there's parasitic energy around you, whether it's physically or spiritually or however you want to call it, I have noticed that in my own world there is a bait signal with the clients that I work with in my own body. There's what I call the bait signal in the human body, and the bait signal is made up of your most prevalent emotional condition. Oftentimes that will be in the form of traumas that have not been healed, emotions that are still trapped within you, things left unsaid. In most cases, I believe it is unhealed or unexpressed emotion that actually creates that sort of bait frequency on what we might lovingly call an astral realm or the non-physical channels. And it's kind of like a bonfire in a dark forest. And imagine if you were walking through this dark forest and you saw this bonfire, you'd be like, dude, let's check it out. What? And so, imagine within the non-physical realm, a lot of beings are going to be drawn to this dumpster fire, right? And if we're this crazy living dumpster fire of toxic emotion that's spewing all over, and I'm not saying that's you, I'm just giving you an example. So don't worry, I'm just giving you an example because you're going to see that sort of flagrant kind of essence of emotional just insanity, or in some cases intensity, like whatever you want to call it. For many of us, will draw that stuff in. When it comes to people or parasitic relationships on the earth plane, and how we will constantly repeat or constantly be in contact with certain types of just difficult personality types, there's also channels on the body that you can start to work with that will change who you attract, under what circumstances. So many things. Lord, it's such a long, that's a long rant, but places you can learn about to change your, what we might call your viewability, might be a better word for that, on the astral plane, or just your availability to parasitic energy. Channels you can work with. Well, I would say within the chakra body, definitely the solar plexus. It's like a big swirling pot of energy. Within the meridian body, the pericardium meridian is an incredibly misunderstood and wildly active place, especially when it comes to us feeling targeted or looked at, or having suspicion, or feeling pierced by difficult energies, or all of those things in your world that like whatever that is, they give you a shock. It's very related, not only related to pericardium stuff, but Also, you can do qigong. You can begin. Yes, this will really work. Qigong. I would say, and everyone that knows me, it will happen. Somebody will roll their eyes. Oh God, here we go. But it is very much, in my opinion, the number one thing you can do to strengthen the human energy body. By beginning to practice qigong in any form, if you can begin to do this every day, you will be actually working out non-physical muscles and opening up channels of multidimensional flow in your body that for a lot of us in this life, it will never open until we finally go, oh, there's a thing there, and I can begin to breathe and open and stretch, and it will begin to open up your intuitive ability. You know, and sorry guys, I won't go on too much about qigong, but if there was one thing I ever did in this physical life that actually transformed my ability to feel energy, it was qigong. 100%. Anyway, we'll stop. We'll stop on the qigong. We are going to do some readings. Yes, I promise. Detox with Tessa says, I use two-way mirrors. I can see out, but they can't see me. They can see themselves. You know what's wild? The mirror thing works. I've heard people using mirrors. There's also an energetic, well, I call it an energetic device. If you want to get technical, I think you could even call it an old world magical process if you want. But some people call it a mirror spell, but I just call it the mirrors. And you can put up mirrors around your energy body that will actually deflect difficult energy. So every single person has the ability to do this, but for most of us, we will perceive our internal workings as being in an imaginary realm that isn't real. And we're taught here as humans, right? As children, that's just your imagination. That's not real. That's not how it works. What we find out later on when we open up our body to kind of multidimensional intelligence is that that's actually the most fertile ground for creation and for transmission of true fourth density energy. And so people will put up mirrors around them. There was a process that I was doing, like 2 years ago now. And at this stage, we had done it with a family who was, I don't even remember what they were being oppressed by. Something very frightening to them that I think I don't remember it now because at the time I didn't perceive it as being real. Like it or not, that is a thing that will happen. But at the time, we went through a group meditation where we took the father and his teenage son and the mother, and we did this group meditation and energy process, kind of like an energy clearing with the whole family. And we had them put up mirrors in front of their bodies. We designed the mirror in the astral space. What did the frame look like? What color was the mirror? And we even had them draw the name or whatever it was they were deflecting on the mirror. And it was a really powerful process. There were some tears that happened. And I think one of the downsides of working at a shop at that time, as I was working at a physical shop, was that I didn't ever get to know what happened with them. I don't know if that ended the manifestation. I don't know if that ended the targeting, but we never heard from them again. And so, on one level, I would like to think that it worked. But yeah, the mirror spell is legit. It is real. Real quick question there. Christina Rock, she says, what tarot deck should I buy? I only use at this stage the Robin Wood tarot deck, not Robin Hood, Robin Wood. And that's the tarot deck that we're going to be using in the tarot class, which starts on March 28th. It's multidimensional tarot. Kind of the reason for this live stream, which is going on and on. I know I'm just going on and on about other stuff, but we are going to be starting the next round of multidimensional tarot and energy reading on March 28th. And we're going to be going through all 78 cards. There's a little bit of a different method. Actually, I don't know if it's a different method. It's the method that was given to me. And what we do is we actually create characters and we understand each and every single character in the hierarchy of the tarot deck by applying them to ourselves, characters in our life, characters in our journey. We go through an interesting numerical journey in understanding the significance of each card on multiple different levels. And we also give you some spreads, tarot spreads to work with. Although as a person that does it professionally, I do not place a lot of importance on tarot spreads. And You're going to see a lot of tarot groups on like online or on like Pinterest or whatever, and they will give you these predetermined layouts of like this, you know, space means this or this space means that. I've been one of those people that just creates my own spread each and every time. But one of the things we do in this class is I give you guys the one that I use. So it's a pretty fun thing. It's going to be exciting. We're adding an extra week this time around. Last year it was four sessions over 4 weeks. And what I figured out was that some of the sessions were literally 6 hours long. I went back and looked at the videos recently when I was getting ready, and I was like, oh my God, literally 6 hour long classes. And so it's not going to be 6 hours long this time, you guys. We're adding an extra week. So it's, instead of 4, it's 5 weeks. And the 5th week is going to be kind of like energy reading dynamics, in which, you know, for those of us that are learning to really tap into and use our intuitive abilities, it's a lot more about understanding the symbolism behind, say, you know, tarot cards or pendulums, or, you know, even just your own intuitive kind of recall maneuvers. And so what we're doing is also talking about just the dynamics of when, you know, when this shows up, what is it like? How do you know when you're right? How do you know what resonant energy feels like? How do you learn to read other people's body language, and what subtle guidelines can you see, even within the context of a reading or just in your day-to-day life, that helps you actually know what's going on? And so we're adding sort of a 5th week to that. And so, yeah, I'm excited to do it because it will give me new stuff to add to that class. But anyway, yes, Robin Wood Tarot. Sorry to go on a rant. Hope Holmes said, how did you learn to read the tarot? I will tell you the real, honest to God story. Oh, Lord. First time I ever received a tarot deck in my entire life was in December of 2012. I was on a vacation at the time with my first wife out in Oregon, and her grandmother just randomly gave me a tarot deck, and it was weird. It was just kind of a joke. She was all, here, you can have that. Somebody, you know, somebody died when they read it. You know, she said some cheesy joke, and I was like, what? Whoa. You know, I was like, oh, okay. And so I just sat with these cards for months. And when we went home, I was in a really crazy existential crisis stage in 2012. I was getting quote unquote activated, if you want to go there. And I know it's a cheesy word, but it was happening. And I was going through a really crazy kind of internalized explosion in my body. And right after I received those cards, a couple months later, I started to read for myself and just look up, you know, like, what did the cards mean? You know, what is this? What is that? And I began to do readings for myself privately, just looking at things and seeing what was happening. And I started to come up to this crossroads in my journey, in my marriage, in my life. And I was about to do some really crazy things, you guys. Was about to do really crazy things for real, things that just, you know what I mean? Anyway, and I was doing readings for myself, and there was a couple readings where I asked the question, like, if I do these things, what will happen in my world? And I got these answers that were utter disaster. It was like the most horrible warnings that I could have ever gotten, all doom, all gloom. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Okay, whatever. Get rid of these cards. Get this shit out of here. And I just got rid of them. I didn't get rid of them. I kind of put them away. And lo and behold, a few months later, I went through with all those things I was getting a reading about, and every single negative thing that was told to me that was going to happen happened. And it was far worse than I had even perceived that it could have been. And at that time, I was writing down the readings in this little notebook, and I went back months later, and I realized that literally everything that I discerned had happened. And it shocked me. I mean, it really, really did. It changed my life, and I put them down for almost a whole year, and I was working at that time as a mental health chemical dependency treatment specialist in San Diego. And I just put that stuff down until a few years later, when I started to go through this awakening process, and I encountered a person who was a professional psychic at the time, and she had been working for decades as a psychic. And it was when I began to become aware of things like secret space program and all the wild kind of gateway concepts that draw a lot of people into this kind of scene. And it was weird, because I had got to know this person online, and they were just a friend, and they took one look at me and they were like, you're a psychic, you need to know this. you are. And I was like, what, huh, what? You know, I did not, I was like, huh? I mean, I always had, there was a lot of weird stuff about me as a, I mean, so many weird things that I now understood were empathically given to me, but I did not identify myself as such at that stage of the journey. And what she told me was that the knowledge would just activate and that it would unpack. And the reality is I've never been to a tarot class. No one ever taught me how to read tarot. I really sat with this woman for about 2 months. I lived at her house for a short time. And there was a few days, literally maybe a few weeks possibly, where we just would go over what the cards meant and talk about it in a funny way. And I would be like, I don't think I can read tarot. I don't think I can. And over again, she was like, yeah, you will. You will absolutely. She even told me at that stage of my journey, she was like, if you do what your heart tells you and really follow this journey, you're never, ever going to have to go back to the old version of you and your old job and your old life and all of that. And at that stage of my life, I was like, what? But I believed it. Something about that, it hit me. And I was like, what if she's telling the truth? Because there's certain people that you encounter in this path, in this like community, and you'll find them and you will just know. They would just ooze this certain thing and you're like, yep, you're okay, you're for real. You will not even doubt it. You will just know, and they don't wow you with some crazy magic or, you know, do some wild stuff, but you will meet them and there will be a vibration of, well, the frequency of truth. And you'll be like, well, I acknowledge you're the legitimate version of that. And so I think I had an experience early on with a person that recognized that in me. And I think it enabled me to get in touch with and here we go into the deep end of the pool, a future version of myself from another timeline who's doing a very similar thing. And so in 2017, I kind of had a weird snap. A lot of people know this. I left my old life behind and started doing this thing I'm doing now. But anyway, you guys will get to hear that story later. I will tell more about it at Starseed Adventures, which is coming up March 11th through 14th. Some of you guys will see the links in the description if you can. Please, please, please. For those of you guys that want to come to the next workshop I'm doing, it's not actually a workshop, it's a presentation that we're going to be doing at Starseed Adventures. I believe that's on March 12th. They have live stream tickets are available. And they're going to be giving away some tickets as well for the live stream. There's a tremendous amount of really cool people presenting there. James Gilliland, John Vivanco, Tony Rodriguez, so many cool people that every time I start talking about it, I forget all of their names. And so some of the people in the chat will say them. Sorry. But that's Starseed Adventures coming up March 11th through 14th. And so we are going to be doing a multi-dimensional briefing there. It's been a thing that I've been blessed to be able to do at most of the conferences and I've been able to speak at, which has been very few, by the way. But we're doing a little bit of a briefing on what's going on in the multi-dimensional body, what is happening in your intuitive development, what's going on with respect to the interconnectivity in the psychic realms and how that's changing in 2021. And we're also going to be going through a little bit of what I call energy medicine triage work and activation. And so if anyone's interested, please check it out. Starseed Adventures, hopefully the first of many. I see some good comments here. Thanks, you guys. I was going on a crazy long rant. Carrie Southard on YouTube says, is it comparable to Rider White? I believe the Robin Wood Tarot deck, in my opinion, is the only tarot deck I've found in which the actual meaning or my understood meaning of the cards actually is shown on the literal card. We're going to do some readings with them in a moment. But it's very, very similar. I just think that Robin Wood, somehow this lady was tapped into my understanding of tarot. And so that's the only one I use. Not to say that I wouldn't use others. It's just the ones that I have. And it's the ones we use in the class. Thank you, Jacqueline Kirstein. She says, I'm being guided to open wild schools for all ages in Colorado. I like that. Thank you for mentioning that. It seems to be happening fluidly. I was originally looking for a few kids for my child to have a school, but now I have 45 or so families interested. Interesting. Very cool. It's neat to have this happen, but I'm also experiencing a bit of oh my and just doing what feels right. But now I'm wondering how to manage such a big project. People are donating land and I'm grateful, but any additional advice would be appreciated. Also, when I go to sleep, unfortunately, it looks like your comment got cut off. Jacqueline Kirstein on Facebook, but I mean this very sincerely. Thank you for being there, or being here rather. And also thank you for stepping up and being willing to create this school. That is no mistake. I mean, especially if you're at this stage, in my opinion, when I hear of those developments, Spirit is guiding you toward creating this thing. We're going to be doing a reading on that. I hope you're still here. You might not be. If you are on Facebook land, let us know. Either way, we're going to pull a card on that. Jacqueline Kirstein. And if you can't tell, guys, we're transitioning into the tarot stage. And so the first reading we're going to do here today, we're just going to look into the alignment for Jacqueline Kirstein of this school. In my opinion, that this is your jumping off moment. Embrace that change, especially if, you know, with all the things and all the alignment that you're talking about there. And unfortunately, I didn't see the end of the comment because it got cut off. StreamYard cuts it off, but we're just going to see what shows up. And because we're starting the reading portion, you guys, please take everything I say with a grain of salt. I do this professionally at this stage, but I like to say that when we do readings over social media, it's very much like you're opening up a closet with a million things. And you're going to see the biggest ones or the ones that stick out, you know, the most, or the ones that you recognize from previous familiarity. And so I tell everyone, take it with a grain of salt. Oh, yes. Ivan Teller is also going to be at Starseed Adventures. Journey to Truth podcast. Aaron and Tyler are going to be there. Now that I'm finally remembering it, right, guys? I'm like, oh, yeah. There's all these other cool people there. There's a remote viewer who seems very interesting. I think her name is Princess Janae. Very, very interesting. Also, Barry Littleton, a very, very cool researcher and experiencer. But anyway, sorry, guys. We're going on the reading. We're going on the reading timeline. For those of you assisting the Mind, Body, Spirit complex known as Jacqueline Kirstein, we're going to see this live and in the moment. Oof. Jacqueline Kirstein, thanks for being here on Facebook. You've received the King of Wands. I think if there's anything we need to know about a King of Wands is that he needs to become 100% willing to put his hand out, to literally extend his hand out to the universe and say, I am ready for mine. I am ready for my time, my opportunity. If there's a task that the King of Wands is called to do, it is embrace his passion to pick up the wand that he is holding, that he has been given, and to carry it forward. But he needs to be very, very clear about understanding this is your time for you to begin to practice or do or move forward or create. We could just say in generality, Jacqueline, and I know you know this because people are offering you land and you got all these families ready to set up your school. The King of Wands needs to remain in control and they have to move forward on something. If they don't, they will become kind of wishy-washy and resentful and bitter, and they just kind of, you know, wander around in circles and they get nothing done. And so, in my opinion, this guy embraces forward movement, but only if they're passionate about it. In fact, if they're not, let's just say theoretically, and this is for other people too who might vibe with this energy, unless the King of Wands or the Wands people in general have passion for what they're creating or doing, they will very quickly lose interest. Sometimes they lose control. Every now and then it's like on Monday, they're like, yeah, and on Tuesday, they're like, they just kind of walk away from it. And so I'd say embrace the forward movement of creating this school, believe that it is being guided, and push forward. I mean, really, really in faith, really. There's no mistakes, I think, with stuff like that. So I hope that helps, Jacqueline Kirstein. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Lou. Z Erstar is going to be there as well, also at Starseed Adventures. As soon as I start talking about that stuff, sometimes my head goes blank. I don't know why. I don't know why that happens. We're going to do another reading. There was somebody who we were talking about doing a reading for earlier. I don't remember there it is, Miriam. Thank you for being here. I see you. We had talked about doing a reading for you earlier, so I wanted to remember that, because for those people that have been here on these live streams before, we just go on this crazy twisting road, and I apologize. I won't get to everyone, but don't feel bad about asking again. I'm not one of those people that will get mad, so don't feel bad if you spam the chat. But for Miriam, and so what we're doing is we're just doing a 1-card reading, whatever shows up. Thanks for being here. Miriam, cool, live and in the moment. You've got the 9 of Pentacles. To be honest with you guys, 9 of Pentacles usually looks pretty good. They feel pretty good. Certain things in their world will be generally comfortable. It's really hard, especially even if you knew nothing about tarot, you would look at a 9 of Pentacles and you'd go, all right, this lady looks pretty good. She's dressed well. She's got this cool bird with her, and she's in this beautiful garden. And honestly, this is a pretty comfortable position energetically. However, in many cases, it will be, often one step away from something. There'll be one little piece that's not necessarily complete. In certain cases, we might sacrifice comfort or sacrifice security for control, or, there's sort of a compromise that can come with 9 of Pentacles that can leave us feeling that, something's not fully complete. There might be something else that we'll be called to do or receive or have. And the reality is nothing's really wrong. Nothing's really wrong with the 9 of Pentacles, but there will be a gateway in your life, Miriam, on some level, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's identity related. Sometimes it's just about stuff and things in the world. And the 9 of Pentacles will be asked to go through that gate. Doesn't tell you where, under what circumstances, but it will ask you to harness a layer of willingness and take a course of action that for some of us will be the difference between dreaming about something and if everything's pretty good, but if only I could blank, it will allow us to move forward into another stage. And I might be over-interpreting on that one, Miriam, but I would say for some people with 9 of Pentacles, if they're in a stage of questioning, and let's say they're not in, distress, let's say they're not in pain, because, granted, there's a spectrum for everything, but I would say 9 of Pentacles will need to decide what it wants. If they're feeling the lack of completeness in their physical realm, they will have to kind of, choose a destination, an outcome, something they want to manifest. And so it kind of depends on what that is for you. So take it with a grain of salt. Thanks for being here. Okay, we're going to grab a couple more. You guys can already tell I'm kind of spitting on myself already. It's a strange thing that happens only on live streams. I don't know why. It's a weird thing. And so we're going to grab another person at random. Thank you for being here. If you're one of the people in Facebook land, I don't know how many people are on Facebook because StreamYard just will not let me view Facebook from the live stream thing. So if you're one of the Facebook people, let me know if you want a reading. There's probably only 2 people on there at the moment. Who knows? But anyway, let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you're picking this up. I'm going to grab somebody at random here. Here we go. I'm going to grab Detox with Tessa because you have a very fun name. I mean that very sincerely. Thank you, Detox with Tessa. Having done a lot of detoxing, I feel you. Definitely. Actually, we just got done, well, in this class, we didn't do too much of a dedicated detox, but one of the kind of the foundational things that we do in the multidimensional intuition classes is oftentimes there's like a process that we start in the beginning. In the Meridian class, we did castor oil packs. In the previous chakra class, we did a really good dedicated detox. This chakra class that we just closed, we didn't really spend too much time on it, but it's a thing. Anyway, thanks for being here. What's going on with, for those of you assisting the mind-body-spirit complex known as Tessa. Live and in the moment, Tessa. Who knows what it's going to be? Boom. Hello. We've received the moon. This is a good moment for people in tarot land, or for those of you guys that are trying to understand the subtle symbolism of tarot cards and how they apply to not only chapters of our life, momentary energies, even emotional frequencies in the body and multidimensional anatomy. Tessa, you got a really fun can of worms with this one. It's the moon. Well, what happens with the moon? First off, it shows up every night. It also changes every month. It goes through an interesting cycle every month. And when the moon comes out, let's say, here on the third dimensional plane, every now and then the moon is full and people get crazy, they get weird. They can get blissfully weird or they can get savagely weird. But whenever the moon is out, we're in a cycle of intensity. And I say that very specifically, but also carefully, because it's not always a negative intensity, but the moon will bring, in some cases, what we will call temporary insanity. In some cases, it will just bring a cycle of intensity that can be used either in a good way or sometimes a negative way when we're not cognizantly aware and in charge, or, if we don't have a strong, what some people call locus of control. The moon can be an energy that really tosses our emotions and our internal well-being this way and that way, and it can create a lot of chaos for people. It can also be, I'll just say it, it can also be hormonal at times, also for males, it's very hormonal, and there's a hormonal shift that occurs and subtle changes that happen. It's incredibly energetic. I would say, from the standpoint of a one-card reading, Tessa, be on lookout for intensity and really be willing to kind of ride the waves of what's going on in your internal realm, because moon's always temporary. I would go so far as to say the moon tells us this too shall pass, whether it's in a beautiful stage or a crazy stage. One of the things we can do to harness the energy of the moon is to really work with the sort of savage intensity that it can bring on, and hopefully within a positive light. It is also inherently feminine. That's just what it is. Like it or not, it can also be in a very powerful and somewhat dark feminine energy. And to me, I'm going to decide that the moon for you signals intensity, yet empowerment along with that intensity. And so I hope that makes sense. Thank you for being here, Tessa. Yeah, I definitely talk a lot, Miriam. Absolutely. It is sometimes normal. It's one of the byproducts of having an open throat chakra. At some point, it's just like you can start talking and you might not stop. But yes, thank you. Teresa Armstrong says, hoping for a card. I want to move out of California by next year. Here, we're going to put the people on the screen. Sorry to put you up there right on the screen, Teresa. But just so I remember who we're talking about. Thanks for being here. For those of you assisting the mind-body-spirit complex known as Teresa. Teresa Armstrong, you've got a pretty cool thing. You've got the Four of Wands. And so when we're approaching this from the perspective of a one-card reading, and we're asking about, hey, I want to move out of California, the Four of Wands, it's not necessarily a rapidly forward-moving energy. In fact, if you look at its symbolism, it is a little bit contained within an area. Now, whatever's going on within that area, Teresa, you can tell it's not bad. Nobody would look at this and go, what? You want to move? No way. It'll never happen. Nobody's going to say that. But Four of Wands in general will have to build an air of reliability. It will have to have something more structured. It will have to know its next steps in a way that are very deliberate. It also moves slowly. To me, it signals that there is an absolute and direct possibility that you can move out of California by next year. I mean, honestly, we don't even need to draw a card to say that's possible. But if we're looking for reasons why, or maybe things that we can do to speed up or empower the process, the Four of Wands usually will do one of two things. It will need to maintain a reliability and a structure that it is built around it, meaning that things will go very slow. They might be kind of scripted. It will be a very inch-by-inch process. But in other stages, The Four of Wands will need to kind of break down all the walls, and they might need to tear down those 4 pillars and kind of go into a new stage in a new area. And so to me, these tell you that you can, or this tells you that you can move, but it's going to require in a level of effort, I would say, that you might not necessarily be comfortable with creating right now. And why do I say that specifically, Teresa? Not about you specifically, but that's kind of also a Four of Wands energy, because people that have this, it's like, sure, we might want to move, but they will remain very comfortable in a place that they are. And so maybe you're not comfortable where you are, and that'll be the guidance that says, tear down those 4 pillars keeping you in place and, you know, move into a new location. And whatever it is, it's absolutely positive. So my prayer is for you that you're going to be bold and kind of shatter some convention and, you know, move forward on moving. You can totally do it. Please do. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I don't know how to get your thing off the screen, but I'll figure it out. There it is. Thank you. All right, we're going to do a couple other readings. Thanks, you guys. I'm going to kind of scroll up and down the chat. We have some people from Facebook land and some people from YouTube. Hello, Michelle Huey. She says, there's 13 of us. Thank you for being here. How about a reading? Absolutely. So hopefully we're going to do one person in Facebook and one person on YouTube. Thank you, Michelle Huey. For those of you assisting the Mind Body Spirit Complex, known as Michelle. Thank you, Michelle Huey. Live and in the moment. What is it going to be? Thanks, Michelle. You've got the 7 of Wands. Some people see 7 of Wands and they're like, wait, what? This guy looks conflicted. He looks like he might be ready to fight. Well, sometimes we can be in that stage. I'll tell you what it really means, though, Michelle Huey. The 7 of Wands, in some cases, will be an internalized conflict. They may be at a standstill. They may be kind of in conflict with themselves. Sometimes 7 of Wands can be seeing the conflict in the world or what's going on around them, and they will somehow assign it to themselves, or they'll be feeling some of it too, or you'll be thinking they're coming for you, or you'll have this, in some cases, hypervigilance if we get, you know, really intense with it. But if you look at his symbolism, Michelle Huey, you can see that all these wands that are aiming at you, if you are the 7 of Wands, they can't really touch you. We could even say you're on higher ground. And one of the things about 7 of Wands is they have to realize that they have an advantage. Sometimes it's an advantage that they are not aware of. And so it kind of depends on your situation. 7 of Wands is very context dependent on what you're going through. To me, it will tell you that you have an advantage, but if you're feeling at odds with people and places and things in your world, sometimes it's inside us, and it's like a thing or a tape that we're playing. It can also be kidney meridian energy. And so take it with a grain of salt. Thank you, Michelle Huey. Okay, guys, we're going to grab somebody from the YouTube team. Thanks, YouTube people. Thanks for finding this strange, random little channel. I hear you. Well, I hear you, June Hales. You'll be coming up. You'll be coming up shortly. I see your comment there. There was somebody else I was trying to grab here. Where did it go? Where were they? I'm going to kind of scroll a little bit farther up in the chat here. Thank you. Boom. I see you. Neats B. I hope you're still here. I saw your name. Every now and then it's like a name, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know why. That one just popped in. Thank you, Neats B. Let me know if you're here. Even if you're not here, we're going to pull a card. And I have a feeling that even if you're not, this is going to apply to someone else. Usually they do with these sort of like collective readings. The other people that are here are going to find a way in which they can apply that into their own world. Thank you, Neats B. Over in YouTube land. I can already tell you from the start, and maybe you're going to feel some of this needs to be a lot of throat chakra energy. You might get a little bit of dryness in your throat. Sometimes you'll get some coolness in your throat. And so if you choose to accept it, we're going to literally send you a little bit of throat energy there. Just to enable forward communication, speaking your truth, making yourself heard. I would go so far as to say being noticed on a different level. There's like a frequency or a wavelength of energy, and just, you know, forgive me if this is not you, because we got about 48 people that are here, but as soon as I tune into the energy that presents for you, it's like something is pressured and ready. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but it wants to like, and like speak, or, you know, whatever it is, it needs to be heard. And so take it with a grain of salt. Only apply it to yourself if it fits. I'm not one of those people that's like, this is exactly what it is. It's totally this. Like, everyone has their own internalized understanding of their energy. A lot of people are going to be able to point you to it. They're going to say, hey, it looks like this, smells like this, feels like this. But ultimately, it's up to you. For Needs B, what's going on? What do we need to know? Needs B, thank you for being here. You have the Eight of Pentacles. This is a very curious energy. Once again, one of those energies that nobody would ever look at this and go, oh man, you're in trouble. I mean, really, nothing bad about Eight of Pentacles. And it's a fun one to Google later on if you want to start reading about like other people's ideas of this. But generally, people that get this energy are in a stage in which they're poised to create something real. They will have abilities, they'll have ideas. They will have, in some cases, needs. It could be a business plan, but I'm speaking very generally here because we're, you know, it's very general one card reading. So whatever it is, you are capable of creating something real, literally, physically real that shows up in this world. You might have done it before. You might have worked on many of them. Whatever it is, you've done it 8 times in a row. You've created multiple versions of them, different colors. Even if these are things that haven't shown up in the physical world, there's a productivity and an ability to create that shows up with the Eight of Pentacles that you really need to, you will need to recognize about yourself. Some people don't know this about themselves, and, you know, they will need to receive it. Other people, they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, you know. But if this reaches you, you may also be creating the same thing over and over again. Some people with Eight of Pentacles are very legit in what they're doing in this world, but they'll keep doing it over and over again, and they might get the same results. It'll just be the same scenario. It really depends on the context of your journey right now. If it's about relationships, we might repeat the same one with a new body. If it's about, you know, career energy, we'll continue to just manifest the same scenarios. If it's about life purpose, you'll have many of them, and they'll have all been real, but you will have to choose at certain stages with the Eight of Pentacles. And I hope this shows up, Neats. Oh, are you seriously a wood carver for real? Oh my God. There's literally only, I think in the Robin Wood deck, there's 2 cards that simulate carving of anything. And so it's very interesting if you are really a wood carver. Somebody's speaking to you today, my friend. But here's what happens with the Eight of Pentacles, and I hope it shows up on your screen. I'm going to get really close, okay? Hopefully you can see, Neats. There's a little castle behind you in the back, way out there, way off in the distance. Whatever they're creating, whatever you've been building or carving, whatever you're starting to put together, it doesn't matter what it is. In some cases with the Eight of Pentacles, you have to take it to a new place. It's like as soon as you take whatever you're creating over there and show those people, it's like you get a whole other reaction. You'll get a whole other reception. And, you know, I say that only if you feel that what you've been creating is maybe it's not been received or it hasn't been noticed. And my prayer is you haven't had that experience. But Eight of Pentacles is legit. And oftentimes when you bring it to a new location, there's a whole new purpose for what you do, or you'll find your skill will suddenly be put to use in this way where you're like, well, you know, suddenly you're in demand in this very strange way. I had a little bit of that energy when I started doing this work, in which I had to move away from my hometown. And as soon as and you know, this is just my example, so don't worry, I'm not saying move away, but this was just my version of it. I had to move away to another place. And as soon as I did, it was like all of the things that made me weird and impossible and awkward in the place I came from were actually the things that were desired and that were wanted. And it really transformed my life. I feel you. You want to go to school, but you're on lockdown. Oh my goodness. My prayer is, and let's all put that out there, that that current timeline wave closes and you are going to be able to return to that. And I mean that very sincerely. I mean that. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Let's find somebody in Facebook land. There are very few on Facebook. I see one of them, Fiona Carthew. Thank you for being here. I wonder if you're still around. There's probably like a 10-minute delay on Facebook. There's probably this AI bot that, you know, sits there and listens to every word over and over again before it's allowed. But anyway, Fiona Carthew, I hope you're still here. We're going to do a reading for you. Thank you, Neatsby. I really appreciate you. That's a really good sign when someone comes through and we pull a card that is 100% relevant to you. And so, thank you, Fiona Carthew. Let's do it. I'm going to put you up on the screen just so I remember. Because as we know, and I don't know if you guys can tell this, sometimes when I'm doing the readings, it's like I will look at another person's name and I'm like, oh, who are we? Who are we doing this for? So anyway, Fiona Carthew. For those of you assisting the mind-body-spirit complex known as Fiona. Okay. Thank you, Fiona Carthew. You have the Six of Cups. This is a beautiful card to have. It's really hard here. I'm going to take you off the screen so we can see this here. This is a really good thing for people to see in general. When we're going through healing processes in our, our internal world, when we're coming to stages in our journey in which we're healing the inner child. Every now and then, we could also be working with children, but usually when the Six of Cups is out, you are being offered an opportunity to heal the inner child. In some cases, it'll be early childhood programming that you're working with. Every now and then, we're healing early life trauma. In some cases, we're actually helping other people heal, or really, I would say maybe even less about healing and more about emotional development, emotional experiences, kind of like this abundance will appear with a Six of Cups that it's very positive. It's really hard to look at this and make it anything other than what it is. Now, for some of you guys that are familiar with tarot that are here, and don't worry, Fiona, we're going to get to specifics for you in a second, but for those of you guys that are familiar with tarot, you will notice that I do not reverse cards. I'm not a reader that does reversals. In old school tarot, reversals are used to indicate what some people will call the shadow elements or the negative energy of that card, or in some cases, the opposite energy. And so from time to time, I will give, an alternate meaning for Six of Cups. But I would say even if we are in what could be called a reverse Six of Cups moment, this is a healing opportunity. Even if it's a momentary one, it asks us really to work with the emotional body, to work with your heart chakra, and also to work with just early, I've realized I've said this multiple times, Fiona, but early childhood programming. In certain cases, you're going to be having just kind of moments or experiences with people that are also working with that energy. And so Six of Cups shows in to show us the level to which our emotional body has been programmed, and to really offer us this opportunity to shift or change or to heal. And I'm probably over-interpreting for you. But thank you for being here. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Oh, thank you, Neatsby. I see the lion face. Thank you. That was actually why I actually noticed your screen name there. I saw the lion and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Fiona Carthew. Okay, guys, I'm going to scroll up in the chat because I know there's some other people here. Don't be nervous about telling me you're still here. I'm not one of those people that gets mad at people. I realize it's weird trying to get readings in the YouTube chat. I'm going to grab a new person who I've never heard of. Mermaid Kissy Cute, please let me know if you're still here. I know, right? As soon as I say that, right? People are like, what? But yeah, no, please, Mermaid Kissy Cute. You probably clicked off. If you're like me, you'll hang out for a minute and go, whatever, I'm out of here. So let us know if you're still here, Mermaid. I'm gonna pull a card for you regardless. And if Mermaid's not here, you're gonna get, or someone else will receive this energy. So this could also, I see you, there you are. So we're gonna put you up on the screen so I don't forget you. Oh, cool! And you have a cool dog, so that's a good sign. All right, guys. For those of you guiding the mind, body, spirit complex, presenting here, known as Mermaid. Thank you for being here. Mermaid. Yeah, I would, and take this part with a grain of salt. Small intestine meridian energy, or small intestine in and of itself. In some cases, this will show up as inflammation in the gut. In some cases, it'll show up as every now and then symptoms from things like IBS or just indigestion or just, sometimes gut issues. I'm not telling you that because I perceive that in you. It's just kind of a charge. When I sort of tune into someone's energy, there'll be places on the body that kind of vibrate, or I'll be able to kind of like, you'll sort of notice it in an area a little bit more. And for some reason, or rather, I'm choosing to discern that as an intestinal energy. When it comes to behavioral or emotional aspects, it'll have to do with your intuition, your decision making, your own internalized understandings of the world, and really how you use your energy. There's a lot more to the intestines in terms of stuff like that as well. But it's also one of the places where your real intuition stems from. There's a whole other what we call brain complex in the gut, and so. Oh, and I see your confirmation there. Thank you. Thank you. That shows us that we're tuned into you. Let's see what's happening in the world of tarot. Live and in the moments. Miss Mermaid, you've received the Knight of Wands. Here, I'm going to take you off the screen so we can see the Knight of Wands. This is a very fiery energy, Mermaid. It kind of really is more about what you want right now and what you're passionate about and what you're willing to go for and what you're willing to really like rear up and get fiery about and launch into. Because Knight of Wands, and I would say all of the Knights in general, guys, when you're doing readings on yourself and you're trying to understand tarot, the Knights are processes, they're journeys, they're situations in development. They're things that are in a state of change. They're not necessarily static stages in our life. They're nearly always processes. They do tend to be people as well. But for Mermaid, I think this is asking you to really boldly go toward your passions at this stage. You're going to need to find something that you really want or desire with wand energy and really go directly toward it, because otherwise we can become kind of wishy-washy, resentful, stagnated. If this was an official reading, I would say this can also bring passion, many different types of passion into your life. It depends on if that's a thing you're looking for. Because the whole thing about one card readings, especially with Knights, is they tend to describe a process we're in more so than the totality of our journey at this stage. And so this is very much dependent on what's happening in your life, Mermaid. In general, though, if you have a passion right now, and this is for everyone that gets Knights or Wands energy, well, I would say Wands energy in general, not all the Knights, but you have to be willing to go for something. You will have to take some sort of a risk. And when it comes to the energy of fire and Wands, here's a good clue for you guys that are trying to understand tarot. The Wands take place in the physical world. Wands always happen. They're not something inside your head. The element of wand is fire, yes, but wands are not thoughts. They're not emotions. They're things that actually take place in the world. And so when people like the Knight of Wands show up, when the King of Wands and like the Queen of Wands, those are usually stages or moments in which we have to embody our passion. And it'll be those things where like you'll see it in the morning and you're like, yes, and you just go do it. And if you have those experiences, lately, or if you're having them, and for many of us, that's Knight of Wands energy that guides you directly toward, you have to embrace it instantly. Well, it's not like you have to, but you have an opportunity and a clearance to instantly engage with your passion. If we don't, we get weird and bitter. And anyway, I'm probably over-interpreting on a one-card reading, Mermaid, but I see your confirmation. Thank you. You told your boss need to get your passion back. I feel you on that. Knight of Wands will have to go for it. Otherwise, they go in circles. You will get many chances, though, with a Knight of Wands. It'll come back, kind of like Wheel of Fortune. Always comes back. You'll get another chance, but you might have to wait around for a while. Sometimes as a behavior model, Knight of Wands will come in and they'll get way too hard, way too quick. They'll come in and it's like it's just too much, and they kind of have to dial it back. That is kind of one of the wand tendencies. I'm not saying that's you, but just in case. Just in case. Thank you, Fiona. I see your comment there as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that confirmation. My goodness. Working with children. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you coming through from Facebook land. It's a strange and harsh world in Facebook land. I used to think it was better than YouTube, but at this stage, who knows? Who knows? You never know what you can say. Okay, we're gonna grab another person here. I see Eternal Dreamer scrolling through. I hope you're still here, Eternal Dreamer. Let me know. Eternal Dreamer. Eternal Dreamer. Even if you're not here. Oh, there you are. Boom. See, right as I said that, I was like, even if you're not here. I just like to wait for confirmation now. For people that have been on my older live streams, I would just roll through people's readings. And a lot of times I would choose people. It was like half an hour ago, you know, and I'm like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So anyway, Eternal Dreamer, thank you for being here. And so after this, we're going to do a Facebook person. If you're one of the people in the Facebook team, go ahead and put your name on the list again. Facebook's weird. I might not even see your comments, so don't feel bad. Don't worry. I'm not going to be mad at you. I know some people get really weird about that, right? They're like, you're spamming the chat. What are you doing? But no, it's cool. Thank you, Eternal Dreamer. What's going on? Ooh, Eternal Dreamer. I like this one. Six of Wands. Earlier, if you remember, for everyone that's hanging out, we saw the Six of, God, what was that? Six of Cups, right? Emotional offers, emotional healing, early childhood. And if there's one thing you should know about the number 6 in tarot, Eternal Dreamer, and everybody else, sixes are go-ahead numbers. They move forward in certain things. They will enter into a new stage. They will definitely move forward. They're like approvals. And I would say that they're quite positive in general. They're not explosively positive. And most of them will require a course of action, a change in outlook, or certain other tasks. So let's talk about it. For Eternal Dreamer, with the Six of Wands, you're being given the go-ahead in a certain area of your life. In some cases, it's the thing that you do with your hands. Every now and then it has to do with your career or your job, or I'll also say it. Sometimes it's your mission here on this planet, in this body, and there's many missions, but when the Six of Wands is out, Spirit is giving you direct approval and direct go-ahead to engage, to begin, whatever it is. And so my prayer is that, you know, this is going to apply to a certain area of your life. It doesn't necessarily, it's not going to tell you what area. It's not going to say, oh, it's clearly, it's about this or that. But what it is about is an approval. You will have to take action, though, especially with Six of Wands, because you could imagine, hopefully you can see it, Dreamer, the people are cheering you on. Spirit will be actually cheering you. They're like, yes, do it, go for it. But you could imagine what would happen if you didn't go for it and you sat there on your horse in the middle of this parade and everyone's like, come on, are you going to do it? Dude. And then, you know, eventually they'll all just like, yeah, all right. And they'll just kind of drift off. And so there is something we will be called to begin or do. And you usually, if there's a relevant thing in your life, you'll be like, oh, yeah, oh, my God, I've been thinking of wanting to X, Y, and Z. And when the Six of Wands comes out, they're saying, yes, we approve. Don't worry if you don't have something. My prayer is that you're going to receive a layer of approval in another area of your life. Thank you, June Hales. I might have said your name. I might have. I probably did. I might have said it in my head. I hope that helps, Eternal Dreamer. Thank you for being here. June Hales, yes, we are actually going to do a reading for you, June Hales. Thank you for being here. After that, we're going to get a Facebook person. I realized I said we were going back over to Facebook land. But yeah, hello, June Hales. What's going on? I think I saw in the comments, June Hales, that you were in pain. So if that's not you, I apologize. So we're just going to pull a quick card for June Hale. Thanks for being here. June Hale, lots and lots of energy that comes through when I tune into you, like tons of stuff. Some of it feels very severe. Some of it feels inflamed. Some of it feels like emotional inflammation. And I want you to take what I'm saying, please, with a grain of salt, please. I feel that the body will benefit from a deep cry or some sort of an emotional purge. And you know, I realize I say this a million times, but only hold on to what I'm saying if it fits. When I sort of tune into your energy, something feels very like, and not in an angry way, you know, like you can tell my, you know, like my gesture is intense, but it's like pressurized. It's like something is like very tight and it's very pressurized. And, you know, granted, this can also me be, you know, intuitively reacting to another comment that I saw. So only take what fits. But it feels like something that can be relieved, or at least the currency of whatever's going on. Like maybe it's insanity. Maybe I see your comment there. Thank you. Stressed out. Thank you for that. Crown chakra energy. And so a little bit of a depressurization. That my prayer is we're going to start for you right now. So if you can, June Hales, I know you're going to be like, what? We're on YouTube and this crazy guy's telling me to do this. But if you can, just close your eyes for a quick second and imagine you're taking a deep breath in from the top of your head. It's going to be like, why am I doing this? That's crazy. But do that for me if you can. Do it about 3 times and we're going to pull a card for you. Try to really extend your breath, June. Like really make it really long. Like really long, drawn out, deep breaths. Keep going, June Hales. Keep going. One more. Thank you, everyone, for assisting with June Hales today. You've received the Ace of Pentacles. Which is, wow, my Lord, June Hales, this is like a big can of worms. And so only take what fits. But you guys, in general, when the aces show up in your path, you're on a bit of a timeline shift opportunity. Long-running cycles, sometimes physical cycles, sometimes emotional cycles, sometimes job cycles, all sorts of things. Chapters of existence flow around and around and around. And so when this guy shows up, you're being given authorization to do very, very bold things, to make really bold new decisions, depending on whatever's going on in your life right now that has returned from the past. Could be some of the stress you're feeling, could be emotions, could be job stuff, you know, wherever it is in your world. If you can identify the cycles that have returned, things that you're like, yeah, I was dealing with that a few years ago. Damn, it's back again. You know, any of those things, even if it's different bodies, you know what I mean? It could be a different relationship or, you know, whatever it is. When it rolls in again, you have authorization, if you've been there before, June, to do it totally differently, to literally flip the script, to break a cycle. In certain cases, if you feel generally caught up, and I'm also using that very, very loosely. If you feel generally caught up in your journey or your path right now and the aces roll in, Spirit's giving you license to really behave bold, not crazy, but to do those things in your path or in your life where, you know how the people know you, June, they're going to be like, she never would. She won't. You know you won't. Whatever. You know what I mean? Everyone has stuff like that where you're going to be like, hey, guys, someday, one of these days, I swear to God, I'm going to blink. you know. And so in this case, June Hales, no, I don't think it's death, although that's definitely a part of your journey here in the physical body. And, you know, it could be a death of another stage of identity or a previous chapter that you've been in. For you, I think you're being asked to behave boldly and understand that right now it's about breaking a cycle. Breaking a cycle in your journey. And so embrace that. Embrace your intuition and behave boldly. No, don't worry. Definitely not a physical death. Definitely not. In fact, if anything, I would say the aces ask us, or rather, they give us license to proceed with determination, especially if the place we're in right now, we've been in there before. What you can do with the aces and look back, you can sort of look back and go, man, I've been through this before. What did we not do last time? Or last time, if I felt this way or been in this cycle, what were the things that I swore I would never do? You know? And so it really gives you license to behave boldly and to break cycles. And thank you, June Hales. I feel you. Death around you, whoever's it is, I pray that those things occur with healing and joy and love and light. And for you, I pray that, you know, you really move forward with determination. And if you can later on, take about 5 minutes, put on a timer on your phone. I mean this very sincerely, June. Put a timer on your phone and try to breathe through the top of your head, deep and slow. We're going to put a little bit of a bubble of energy out there to help soften your journey. It is there for you right now. Thank you, everyone. So there we go. Believe it, June. I mean that very sincerely. Thank you, Matt Adams, by the way. I did. I got an awkward haircut yesterday, you guys. It only happens every few months. Thank you, June Hales. We're going to grab somebody from the Facebook crew. Thanks, you guys. I'm going to grab the first Facebook name, Terry Lynn Cooper. Boom. Terry Lynn Cooper. I hope you're still here. Terry Lynn Cooper. Wow. Thank you, Terry Lynn. Here we go. Terry Lynn Cooper. For those of you assisting, Terry Lynn. Terry Lynn, whoa, nice. All right, Terry Lynn Cooper. This one's definitely dependent on what's going on in your individual path. This is your Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel of Fortunes show up in your journey in stages or surrounding things that are going to be 100% individual and specific to you. First off, that's why I'm like, oh boy, you get to decide. But it's go time, Terry. I mean, really, it is really time for you to jump, to go for it. If you've been debating on taking a chance on a certain thing or an idea or a desire, if you have been wondering, is it the right time for me or us to begin doing, you know, whatever, or whatever the current round of desire or the things are that you keep mulling over and over and over again, waiting for those things to pop up, Wheel of Fortune is go time. I mean, really, to me, it's a beautiful win-win moment. Assuming you're willing to take a chance, assuming that you're willing to actually, and sometimes one of the easiest ways to describe Wheel of Fortune, everyone, is imagine you were in Vegas, and I know it's cheesy, right? But imagine you're in Vegas and we went up to the roulette wheel, and don't worry, I don't know anything about gambling, but you put all your money on black, take it all, boom, drop it on black. And this is the time when Wheel of Fortune rolls out, you are in an incredibly opportunistic point, but it's like you got to put everything up on the line first. If you're willing to do that, if you're willing to take a chance, and I want to admit freely, Terry Lynn Cooper, this is very general. It's depending on areas of your life that will apply specifically to you. So Wheel of Fortune could be massive. It could be like, yes, it's finally time to blink. Or it could be one of those moments where you're like, yeah, I thought so. It could be, you know, like a little thing. It could be huge. But and this is also for other people that will be receiving the energy of the Wheel of Fortune. In general, you guys, Wheel of Fortune shows up to say it's go time. Time is now. Do not hesitate. Let's say, Terry Lynn, if there were things that you were debating on launching or doing or becoming or starting, whatever it is, something you're trying to create or have or feel, and let's say Wheel of Fortune rolls in and you didn't take the chance or you didn't do it, there is a little bit of a downside. Because the opportunity will go away. That's just kind of what happens, you guys, with Wheel of Fortune. Look at the cycle of experience that you go through with a Wheel of Fortune. Some of it's incredible. If you act now, it's like, oh, okay, this is our opportunity. If we wait, the ball's going to roll around and we have to go through this whole cycle again, but it will come back. That's the cool thing about Wheel of Fortune. It always comes back. Hopefully when it comes back, we're willing to take the chances that it guides us. And so there's really no finality from an existential perspective when it comes to Wheel of Fortune. It always comes back. So anyway, I hope that helps, Terry Lynn and Facebook Land. Thank you for being here. Babs, love and unity. Thanks for being here as well. I will be totally honest with you. After I got the haircut, I went and cut my own hair again in the bathroom. Like seriously, for real. I did. I went and cut tons of hair off afterward. And actually, I thought I made it worse. So I'm glad that I didn't. Thank you for being here, though. I appreciate you. Let's grab a couple other people. We're gonna go back to YouTube land. Hello, YouTube land. Let me know if you're still here. I know a lot of people are waiting. I see Jennifer Armstrong. There you are. I saw your name go by a couple times, Jen. Somebody in YouTube land. Hello, Jennifer Armstrong. Oh, thank you, Nene57. I'm sorry. Hopefully you're still here. Nene, if you're still here, we'll do a reading for you after Jen Armstrong. I think I saw your name earlier, but thanks for hanging out. Jen Armstrong. Boom. For those of you assisting, Mind, Body, Spirit Complex, known as Jennifer Armstrong. Thanks, Jen. A lot of mental body energy, like lots of like something that's very forward moving, very I'll just say it, Jen. It's like it feels like you got a lot of energy, and if it's like boiling at times. It's very like it's very big, very capable. It's like there's big work or some big thing that needs to move or do or happen or feel in your life that I feel like on a certain level, maybe at times it's not necessarily been put into use. It's like there's so much capability and some of it's held back behind you. And I pray that makes sense, but as soon as I tune in, it's like there's so much of something that wants to like push forward with Jen Armstrong. And I realize I'm describing that in a really probably nonsensical way. So, you know, only hold on to it. Sits there. Thanks, Jen Armstrong. Here we go. Ooh, Jen Armstrong, you've got the world live and in the moment. We also know that it is the year 2021 here on the Earth plane. And whenever the world shows up in your path, this is for Jen Armstrong and anybody else that vibes with this energy. People that have the world as a stage or a big, you know, relevant frequency, they're going to have an ability right now to manifest things on a really, really big way. Whatever you focus on with the world is going to show up. Some people focus on sickness and weird stuff and insanity. And, you know, people with the world are the kinds of people that say, every time people get sick, I get it. And so, you know, what they end up getting, or they will pick up something. Other people have the world in their sort of energy bubble. And they're the type of people that are like, I always win. I always get it. You know, they have a very positive expectational outlook. And what happens when we have the world on our side, let's just say as an experiential bubble of energy that's visiting us right now, the world says whatever you're really focused on, Jen, whatever you're obsessing on, whatever you're talking about, whatever subjects in your body have the most prevalent emotion, like whatever you're the most like fired up about, shows up really, really quick. The problem is it could be good, it could be bad. It's one of those things where you're going to have to make use of that energy and be very, very conscious of what you're creating in your world. So to me, it's very, very positive. I don't know that it necessarily applies to your comment about the lights that your friend was seeing in her dream, but I would say if you're being asked to tune into or discern the energy of what's being shown to you right now, it's for a reason. For a reason. Oh, and I see your comment. I'm so glad you got the spooky too. For those of you guys that see that, what we're talking about are rife frequency machines. Oh my Lord, such a fascinating can of worms. I don't know if we have time to go into it, but I'm so glad you got it, Jen. Absolutely, one of the not necessarily frontiers, but one of the returning frontiers of healing the human body. I guess we'll go there. A lot of people talk about the concept of the med beds right now. You know, there's a commonly held hopium idea that this type of technology has been, you know, released into the mass populace here on Earth that's going to allow you to jump into this little tube and all of your problems and all of your illnesses will be healed. And yes, that is a real technology. It absolutely exists. There's many, many different versions of them in existence all throughout our galaxy. Right now, at least from what I've been shown with the wavelength on planet Earth, is that's not something that's really available to us on the physical plane. Some people get really upset when we talk about that, and they get really weird because they watch a lot of YouTube videos and people tell them that they're, you know, they're happening and they're real. They're going to look at some of the current offerings made by high-tech plasma, companies, and a couple companies have created this sort of medbed pod. And what it's actually doing, from what I could tell, is it's using a combination of rife therapy frequencies and also plasma energy to create what can be very, very much a similar process as what we've been told to expect from medbed technology, but it's an ongoing process of entrainment, and it's not a healing modality that you'll lay in one time or experience one time and all your problems will be healed. It's an ongoing alternative healing method that causes the body to regenerate itself. And so I guess the reason why I'm going on that rant is because medbeds are literally unnecessary, you guys. We have human technology available to us right now on the Earth plane that's giving you the opportunity and the ability to utterly regenerate your human body. And I've been using it here at home for, I think it's been about 3 weeks now. We bought a couple of them, and I've been starting to use it with my clients as well. We are starting to use remote rife therapy in some of the sessions I'm doing, but it's still very much, it's still kind of experimental at this stage. I'm trying to find a way to appropriately integrate it into the sessions we're doing. And my prayer is that's going to happen. It's kind of one of the issues with it is that it does, we do need to have a DNA sample. And so there's been some people here that have sent me their fingernails, and we've been doing some experiments with putting people's DNA in the transmitter and then also doing an energy clearing session at the same time. And honestly, the results so far have been shocking. I mean, really, really amazing. The challenge is that I can run more than one person's DNA at a time, but in order to, what I believe, like unify the field around one individual person, you can only kind of focus on one being at a time. And so, at least in the context of the individual session. And so, anyway, sorry to go on a medbed rant, you guys. They're real. It's a real thing, but it's not something that we're going to be experiencing here on the Earth plane for probably quite a few more years, or maybe not. Maybe I'm totally wrong and they're about to show up. Maybe they're about to roll into the Earth plane on a shocking level. You guys are going to find some ads right now going on. I think Kesh Foundation is trying to sell a med bed or like a med pod or something. And I believe it is Rife Plasma Therapy that's being run through what looks like these sort of concentric spinning circles around the human body. And I think that could be one of the ways in which they're going to create a greatly, greatly expanded healing frequency. And so, there could be some absolute realism to it. Who knows? Anyway, sorry to go on a medbed rant, you guys. We're going to do a couple more readings here. Let's find somebody that's still here. I believe Catherine Q. I saw your name there going by. Let us know if you're still here. Catherine Q. Over in YouTube land. After that, we'll do a Facebook person. I wonder if Facebook has shut down my stream yet. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, I see some Facebook people. Hello, you guys. In the meantime, we're going to grab, where did she go? Catherine Q. Let us know if you're still here. I'm going to put you up on the screen. Okay. Let's pull a card for Miss Catherine Q. Here we go. Catherine Q. Thanks for being here. You've got the Two of Cups. Now, here's the beautiful thing about Two of Cups, you guys. It means something a little bit different to each person who receives it. It has to do with where you are in the spectrum of whatever this represents. Some people are seeking the Two of Cups. Some people, maybe that's you, Catherine Q, they have the Two of Cups and they're trying to understand it. For other people, this will pertain to something totally differently. But if it looks like a beautiful beginning, if it looks like chemistry, if it looks like a partnership, if it looks like possibilities, once again, depending on what you're looking for, possibilities for romance, it absolutely can be this. Usually what it is, though, is an experience of chemistry, a moment in which people come to an agreement. It can be the beginning of something beautiful, but it's very much individual. And so to me, this is the beginning of something very positive, but entirely dependent on what this means to you. And so I hope this makes sense, Catherine Q. It's a very, very positive omen depending on where you are in the spectrum of Two of Cups. But look for chemistry, look for attraction, look for this sort of flicker of desire and another, either a scenario or a person or a situation that kind of ignites that for you on a positive level. That will hopefully be leading you toward the Two of Cups. Let's get somebody from Facebook land. Thanks for hanging out here, you guys. For one of you guys in Facebook land, if you're still waiting for a reading, let me know. Thank you, Catherine Q, for being here. I see Avarice Azarina Onassis. Thanks for being here. We're going to pull a card for you. Once again, take it all with a grain of salt. I say this a million times. When we're doing card readings over social media, it is very much like we're just opening up the garage door and we're looking at all the junk in there and we're like, what's the biggest thing? What shows up first? What's something I recognize? It's very much like that. It is one of those situations where we really only take what fits. When you're doing these group readings, like we're working with many different frequencies all at a time, and while we can absolutely tune into you and you alone as a person that does this professionally, meaning this is literally my only occupation, what we do here. It is something that we also have to recognize can become very diluted in a public forum. And so take it all with a grain of salt. Avarice Azarina Onassis. I'm going to put you up on the screen so I don't forget your name. There we go. Thank you. Avarice Azarina Onassis, you're in a stage of transformation. This is the Magician. It is very much a stage of your journey in the physical life cycle in which you go through this transformation or a rite of passage from one version of yourself into another version. I'd be willing to bet that you are also in a major transitional stage in 2021 with respect to probably your self-identity, how you present to the world, the version of you that's meeting the world, what you're doing, probably even your personal style, how you present yourself. The Magician shows up in your path, and we will oftentimes go through this year-long or sometimes multi-year, sometimes less than a year, a transformational period. It's like a whole other version of you will show up. A lot of your relationships will kind of shift and change. People that you're close with not too long ago, they'll literally gravitate out of your life. And for some of us, it can be like a molting period, where the snake will have to lose its skin and it has to go through this awkward rebirth. But Magician's not necessarily a rebirth. It's not like this sort of death and rebirth cycle. There's a lot of cards in tarot. Well, not a lot, but there's a few cards in tarot that are literal rebirth cycles. The Magician, though, for avarice, is very much a transformation that's going to take place over, multi-month period, usually at the end of the year or at the end of your journey with whatever the Magician's bringing you through. You're going to notice down the line, you have this moment where you look in the mirror and you realize that you look different. Your hair will be different. You'll be dressed differently. You will be in a whole other stage of your life, but it's going to be one of those things that you don't realize it while it's happening. It's not something that you're conscious of when you're in the middle of it. It's a chapter of creation and transformation that we oftentimes notice when we've gone through it, and so or at the tail end. And for some of us, literally, you will look in the mirror and a few months down the road, avarice, you're going to be like, whoa, this time last year I was doing X, Y, and Z, and I was a totally different being, and I was in a whole other stage. And you're going to have that moment. My prayer is when you do, and maybe you're already having it right now, for a lot of us, that's the sign that the Magician is in your life, and it will ask you to harness all of your knowledge, all of your magic, all the stuff that you've learned about yourself, and to, hopefully allow that to be transformed into something new. I would say the Magician can be resisted. It can totally be resisted. It can be something that will sort of push off or avoid. Other transformational energies, you can't really resist them. But the Magician, you can sort of, you can put it back in your pocket. You can, this is a cheesy metaphor, I guess. You can put the rabbit back in the hat, quote unquote, with the Magician, and nobody will ever see it. You know what I mean? They may never know what you're capable of. Sarah says that's called growing old. It could be. It could be called growing old. The Magician will do that to you. Absolutely. Passage of time, transformation of identity. Absolutely. So we're going to grab a couple other people here. Back to the YouTube land. Who's at the bottom of the list here? Babs Love and Unity says me. Okay, how's it going? All right, Babs, let's see what's going on. Just take it with a grain of salt. As we know, we're doing one card readings. It's just like looking at one little fraction, one little page of your journey. We get to assign the importance. Babs Love and Unity, you've got the moon. I wonder what kind of intensity is happening in your world, because the moon is usually a cycle of intensity that comes around. Sometimes it shows up every month. Sometimes it shows up every night. Sometimes it shows up in these weird chapters when everything goes into this sort of upheaval and things start to get a little crazy, a little savage. They could be positively intense or negatively intense. Some people have the moon as a signifier for a big energy wave or a big download. Every now and then, don't get mad, Babs. Every now and then with the moon, though, we just have some hormones and some energy, and we're going through, our own internalized cycles. And so it can also be that. But in general, this is an intense chapter. It's up to you how you want to use this energy, though, because you can see there's like a dog and there's also the wolf, and people go through transformations. Every now and then the moon will show up in your path and you'll have this like explosion. People that are usually really cool and really chill, all of a sudden they're like, boom, and they just go really intense or really crazy. Other times, they will do things that are very out of character. You yourself might do things that are out of character when the moon rolls through. If you're willing to harness the intensity and to actually, retain cognizant control over the intense thought forms and emotions that rise up with the moon in your life, you can use that, to really manifest, to really create change. But for a lot of people, the moon as an energy indicator is something that they feel they're at the mercy of. It'll roll in and everything feels crazy and we get kind of out of control for a week or two. And, for people that are able to see it coming and to harness that energy, to feel the intensity, you can use it to create change, literally for magic. The moon will show up, for some people out there that are doing real magic. the moon will show up to tell you it is time to begin your processes, you know, to start to prepare for, you know, quote unquote magical working or transactional change on the multidimensional planes. And so thank you for being here, Babs. I hope that makes sense. It's always it's always fun when we're doing one card readings, because you can really read into one card. You can tell a whole story of someone's life through one card, but it's also one of those things that, you know, for many of us will only give us one dimension of understanding. And yet, you know, it can be, oh my God, it can also mean so much. So it's one of those things, we take it with a grain of salt. And so thank you for being here. Once again, we're going to grab a couple more people here, you guys. Don't worry. Hello in Facebook land. Hello, Matthew Thompson. Good to see you. Okay, thank you, Patty B. It's good to see you here. I don't recognize your name, and so therefore we're going to give you a reading. Just a real quick one-card reading for Miss Patty B over there in YouTube world. Thank you, Luz. You are going to be in there as well. Thanks for saying I'm still here. Absolutely. Tone poem. This is open to everyone that's here, that's hanging out on this strange little live stream. Usually if you found it, it's no accident. We might have time to get to a reading for you. Who knows? We'll see what happens. It's a weird random process. Sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes it's pretty random. But if you're one of the people that's been hanging out here and you'd like to learn how to open up your intuitive ability or learn how to read the cards and understand what they mean, not from a generalistic perspective, not to tell people like, oh, you're going to get married at this age and you will have 3 children and et cetera, not for what we would call the sort of pre-scripted banalities of the human experience, but to understand what's going on inside your body, to understand motivations, the emotional energy of people and their desires, and really also to help with your own healing processes and to unlock your intuitive ability. Not everyone in this world is, you know, here to learn tarot and to be a tarot reader, but it's one of those things that by learning the archetypes, by learning the symbols, by starting to unpack and realize how they apply to you individually, it is one of the universal tools of understanding that you can use to literally unlock your own version of intuition. And that's kind of one of the fundamental, aspects of this human experience, is that everyone has an ability. It is no joke. It is not fake. It's not a fairy tale, but we're kind of negative. Well, not kind of. We're very negatively conditioned as humans to believe that a lot of those things aren't real. We're conditioned by religion also to not embrace, you know, God-given gifts that each of us have. And so anyway, sorry to go on a rant, but what we do is pretty much open to everybody that wants to learn, even the classes. For people that know me, that have been in the classes that I teach, people that message me and reach out, everybody gets in. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where, like, you will find the right people and the right people will find you. And so anyway, sorry to go on a rant tone poem. I'm just, you know, we're going through our little thing. I apologize. We were getting to a reading for Patty B. Thank you, Patty. I got sidetracked. For those of you assisting the mind-body-spirit complex known as Patty. Patty, okay, you have an interesting energy. You've got the 5 of Cups. And so with Patty, with 5 of Cups, we like to ask ourselves, how's our emotions? How's your emotional body? Sometimes with 5 of Cups, we could be focused on past traumas or sad things that have happened, certain events in our world that have already gone by, they already took place. Every now and then we actually notice, well, the cups are spilled, right? And you know, that fluid or that wine or whatever that is, it won't go back into the cup. And with 5 of Cups, we can sometimes be holding ourselves in an unconscious emotional perspective that keeps us focused on things that don't work anymore. They're not happening. Sometimes we'll just be focused on what hurts. But what happens with 5 of Cups is that we will need to change our perspective. 5 of Cups will need to look. Hopefully you can see it there, Patty. There's 2 cups right next to you that are really good, totally intact, absolutely usable. I know we're getting very generalistic with this, but 5 of Cups is an emotional perspective that at certain stages we won't realize that we are focusing on the wrong stuff, on the emotional pain, on the things that can't be changed. And so Five of Cups asks us to look at what we are capable of. Five of Cups asks us to look at the things that are intact, as I'm drooling on myself here on the live stream. Five of Cups says, look at what is intact. Hold your focus on what works. Sometimes people will say, well, just stop thinking about stuff that hurts, right? And that'll be kind of a seemingly irresponsible idea. They'll be like, well, don't you know I got all this stuff going on in my life? What are you talking about? There's this and there's that, and I can't, what do you mean, just ignore it? Stop thinking about it? Sometimes with Five of Cups, Patty, yes. Sometimes you have to. You got to stop looking at it, and you got to go, okay, you know what? Yes, all right, we got some stuff over here. What else is going on, though? And you'll turn your focus over to another area of your life. And the weird thing is, by bringing your focus to other areas of things that work and feel good and make you feel intact, even if it seems irresponsible or like completely counterintuitive to the hard stuff that's going on, Five of Cups, it gives you this weird opening so that, it's like a weird little door will open. It's like, okay, we'll just put that away and we go over here and we do this. And I'm getting very general, Patty, so try to apply it to your own world. But upon diverting your focus, suddenly this thing over here that we thought was, really negative or dark or difficult to surmount, it literally goes, and you come back to it later on and you're like, oh yeah, what were we? Oh yeah, that whole thing. Oh yeah, whatever. And you'll sort of gravitate into a new stage. And Patty, I want to acknowledge that I'm approaching this in somewhat of a theatrical kind of way, and we're, being overly emphatic and simplistic, but well, that's also kind of the nature of one card readings. It opens the door for that type of stuff. But yeah, thank you for being here. Focus on what feels good with Five of Cups. I hope that makes sense. Thank you. I see your confirmation there. Appreciate you. Now, I think we were talking to Luz earlier as well. Thank you, Luz. I'm going to put you on the screen so I don't forget, because I know you've been here for a while. Please kindly let us know you're still here. And even if you're not, we're still going to do the reading. Thanks for hanging out, Patty. Thanks for being here. For those of you guys that really do want to learn how to unpack and use your own intuitive ability and learn how to read tarot, please check out the link in the description. There's also a lot of other videos on this channel that are going to help people learn how to clear their energy, figure out what's going on with your chakras, what's really going on in your body. There's so much disinfo right now. And at the same time, there's a million different spiritual teachers that are working with very legitimate frequencies of healing and consciousness expansion. And so if you made it to this strange channel, thank you. All right, Luz, what's going on? Let's see. For the mind-body-spirit complex known as Luz, you've received the Seven of Swords. Oh boy, look at this energy, right, guys? The Seven of Swords rolls in, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute. What's going on? Seven of Swords, right? He looks a little sneaky, right, Luz? He looks like Seven of Swords comes in the door, and we're like, what's up with this dude? Is he hiding? What's he doing? Is he stealing something, right? This is an interesting card to receive, Luz, because the Seven of Swords, first off, I got to be real. A lot of people see this and they're like, oh no, really? This looks kind of bad, right? This looks a little bit, hidden. Well, it is. It is. It can be energies or situations or just stuff that will be obscured from your view. Sometimes you're this being, Luz. Sometimes you're this guy. And you're like, yeah, man, I got to keep certain things under wraps. I can't let the world know about this or that. Sure, there's lots of stuff I can't talk about right now. In fact, I have to maintain sometimes another identity. I have to be undercover in a weird way. And so sometimes Seven of Swords can be that energy. And in other cases, though, Seven of Swords can be hiding something. If it's people in your world, you have to start looking around and going, what's really going on? What's underneath that curtain? What's behind the hidden door? I'm being kind of cheesy, but Seven of Swords has stuff like that. It's not always negative. Please, please do not take this as a solely negative indicator, everyone. Seven of Swords says you need to look under the covers. You need to sometimes look at your own motivation. Sometimes we have to look at what we're holding back. Because it's like you don't know why Seven of Swords is holding those swords there. Maybe he's on a secret mission. Maybe he has to. Maybe he's carrying word from one place to another. There's a million scenarios we can apply to this guy. But what happens in sort of old school third dimensional tarot, people see Seven of Swords and they're all uh-oh. And so here's the thing, Luz. It could be an uh-oh energy if you feel like you're being deceived. If you feel like there's people in your world, or you have relationships with people and they tell you one thing and you're like, I don't know, or you feel suspicious, that's the Seven of Swords energy. It doesn't mean that there's something to be suspicious about. But when it shows up, it's telling you, hey, you should probably, look around, see what's going on around you. Every now and then you'll find something that's hidden. It could be a really cool thing. I got to be real. It's not always a crisis. Every now and then you'll realize you were holding back and you're all, whoa, look at all this something, something that will need to be expressed or communicated. Every now and then, Luz, with Seven of Swords, it's a truth that we're holding back. And you're like, I know it's true. And finally, the sword comes out with Seven of Swords. It's not always a difficult sword. Sometimes it's the sword of truth. And so we might not have, you should stop holding back. Sometimes, but it's very context sensitive. So you can tell I'm kind of over interpreting you guys. That's the nature of the one card reading. It opens the door for incredible speculation, yet also a pretty good view into an individual's energy. It's one of those things where, very individual. Thanks, Luz. I hope that makes sense. Thanks for being here. We're going to grab somebody else. I saw Tone Poem roll by. They say, I'm mostly here. Cool. I am very much the same way. I've been very dissociative the past couple weeks. Just kind of a factor for a lot of us going through the strange bubble of multidimensional energy. We find ourselves pulled into strange dream states and, just other wavelengths of consciousness. After 2 hours, though, of this live stream, I get really weird and random, you guys. So I might even be talking nonsense at this stage. But for Tone Poem, thanks for being here. We're going to pull a card for you. If you're on Facebook, guys, share this video. It's going to help me greatly. Next week, we are going to do another live stream, and I am 100% going to be giving away one of the passes to our class, the tarot class that's coming up. I saw somebody's comment about dissociation, and I almost dissociated. I'm not being cheesy. I saw dissociate, and I was like, for that split second. But yeah, next week, guys, in next week's stream, we're going to be giving away a ticket to the tarot class. But in the meantime, we're going to pull a card for Tone Poem. Sorry, Tone. It's like there's a lot of stalling that goes on. Sorry. Welcome to the School of Multidimensional Intuition. Tone Poem, you've received the Four of Swords, which for some people, you guys, when we get Four of Swords, we're not into it. Four of Swords shows up, Tone, sometimes in stages in which you're waiting for word, you're waiting for news, you're waiting to hear from people, you're waiting to find out about stuff, and nothing. You don't hear anything. Nobody's talking. Nobody's doing it. Nobody has anything to say. Things feel dead. And you're like, dude, what's going on? What's happening? Man, I've been waiting for this, or I've been trying to, or everybody wants to blank. And it's like you just you put the feelers out there into the world, or to whatever it is. It could be a number of scenarios. Sometimes Four of Swords is a battle that you've been in, and it will suddenly just stops. Everything goes silent. But what it usually means, though, is kind of like a period of incubation, a period of stillness. There's weird symbolism, Tone. Hopefully you can see it. Four of Swords is kind of a tomb. It's dark. It's still. It might be ultra blurry on your screen, guys, but hopefully you can see all the swords are hung up. Swords are about communication. They're about verbal communication. They're about thoughts. They're about psychic communication, how we send and receive energy. And so when the Four of Swords is out, we might not be hearing anything. It just might be dead, and we'll be going, what the hell's going on? And so It will give you an opportunity to reinvent yourself on one level. If you are experiencing a dead spot in your journey, people can use it to begin to reinvent themselves. But you have to understand, for a lot of us, as soon as we acknowledge Four of Swords as being a dead spot or a pause, it will restart again. I mean, it's like as soon as we usually recognize it, it's, you know, something will shift in a very strange way. And so I would say embrace elements of silence in your journey in the moment, especially if you feel as if you're waiting for things to happen. And granted, everybody on earth is waiting for something right now, right, guys? It's kind of goes without saying, you know what I mean? We're all waiting to see what happens with this or that. But Four of Swords is usually, and swords in general, Tone, they're going to be tied into something you have been trying to communicate in the world. Something you've been trying to send or broadcast out in whatever way you're doing it. And Four of Swords, like when it happens, things will be quiet for a minute, and for some people, they will misinterpret that silence. I see your comment there. Silence is golden. It definitely can be. If you're in something that feels like Four of Swords right now, Tone, use it to reinvent yourself. Use it to refine and to incubate a whole new creation of something. Maybe it's just a stage of your identity, but it's an opportunity. For some people, though, if we're in states of chaos, it's a really beautiful thing. Because let's say if you are, theoretically, if you were in this huge battle in your world, Tone, and like all kinds of crazy shit's going on, and it's just like you need a break, and you're like, when is it going to stop? Is it going to stop? Yes, Four of Swords is the pause. That's literally what it is. It could be a good one or an awkward one. So take it with a grain of salt. To me, it's a beautiful thing, though. However, for people that know me, I say it's a beautiful thing about a lot of stuff. There's a few there's a few observant people that are like, Matthew, you say that about almost every card. I kind of do. I kind of do. We're going to grab somebody from Facebook lands just because we've been ignoring Facebook. I saw Charlene go by. Hello, Charlene. There you are. Card, please. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you, Tone Pump. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. For Miss Charlene Warren's pitch over in Facebook land, I have to put your face on the screen. After like 2 hours, I start to lose track of who we're reading for. Seriously, I say that in a humorous way, though, guys. For Miss Charlene Warren's pitch. Thanks for being a part of our stuff, Charlene. I mean that. Here we go. What's going on? Charlene Warren's pitch. You've got the Hermit. Hermit's on a solo journey in the moment, guys. Some people have hermit energy, and it can be painful, and they can be very depressed and very isolated, and they're not a part of, and they're in a dark night of the soul stage of their life. And for some reason, Charlene, I don't feel like that's you. I feel like the Hermit, you could be coming out of that. But the Hermit, if it's in a positive stage, he's coming out of his dark night of the soul with some new understandings about himself. And so the Hermit will have learned something about what he's capable of. He'll have picked up certain pieces of himself that he'll go into the quote-unquote dark night of the soul, or the cave within himself, to regain or to remember or to bring back into his world. And so if the Hermit's showing up at a stage in your journey, Charlene, where you're about to take risks, or, and, you know, granted, once again, one card generality, you know, try a new thing. Feels like you kind of are, but, you know, once again, take it with a grain of salt. But the Hermit will really have to step out on his own in a way where he will feel very exposed in the beginning. He'll feel like he's the only one holding up the light, and he's the only one doing the thing, and he can feel very exposed in his journey. If you do feel that, my prayer is you're going to push ahead. I would say, though, if he's an energy center in your body, he's going to be working with your solar plexus and your personal power, and the manner by which you're going to be reawakening or attuning to another stage of your personal power. For some reason, he feels ancestral. I don't have any reason for why that is, Charlene, but it feels like an ancestral energy has returned to your, we'll say, reality bubble. I pray that that's real for you. If it is, it's something that's buried deep, deep within you, usually in the solar plexus. It will also usually be holding an element of your personal power that returns to the body at certain stages. I know we're getting very, we're going really out there with that one, Charlene. Thanks for being here. Oh, okay, thank you. I remember. I see your comment. You started doing Muay Thai. Thank you for mentioning that. That vibes very much with certain things that the hermit will return to. It's like it'll find a light within itself once again. It'll play out differently though, because the hermit goes through all kinds of cycles, many different stages in the journey. The hermit, if it's us, we will retreat within ourselves once again, and we come out another version. Later on, we do it again, and we come out another version of ourselves. And I believe the hermit's an incredible guy to have if we're able to work with, you know, especially our guidance and those subtle nudges that kind of push you this way or that way. And I'll be honest, that also applies to a lot of other cards. It's kind of one of the inherent, I guess we could also say, limitations of the one card readings, is because you'll find that a lot of them, when we approach them from the simplistic perspective of a one card signifier, they can be very general. So it's like, it's one of those things where you get to search where that applies for you. Anyway, thank you, Charlene. I know you know that, but I like to state it for everyone else. And so let's see. One more person here. Who else do we have? I see Yellow Owl there. I think I saw you earlier over there in YouTube land. And so I hope you're still here. Thank you, Yellow Owl. Lots of mental body energy, Yellow Owl. I hope that you are planning something, and if you're able to actually put it into motion, it feels very physical in the moment. And so, you know, probably for you or someone else, that's like, whoa, that could be anything. But for you, I would also say solar plexus energy as well. And granted, that's also a very palpable energy center. You could have a million other things going on in your journey, but there is something that feels as though it is being granted to you to use. It was present in another stage of your life. It could be a wave of motivation. My prayer is it's motivation to begin or launch something. And anyway, take it with a grain of salt. Let's see what shows up in your cards. Because as we know, it's really, really easy to say that, right, you guys? I'm definitely a realist when it comes to working as a professional intuitive. There are times in which we're going to connect with people's energy, and there is such a fascinating specificity of the messages and the things that show up. And there's times when we connect with people's energy, and yes, it's very generalistic, and it's very much in the moment, and we're working with, you know, whatever the most obvious set piece is. And so I like to leave room for, you know, both the specificity and just the yes, the sky is blue type of a moment, because sometimes that's what we're doing. It's like, yep, the sky is blue. That's real. And so, you know, take what fits. Thank you, Yellow Owl. What's going on? Ooh, Yellow Owl, you have the first appearance of the Chariot. My goodness, depending on what's happening in your world, Yellow Owl, this can be an incredible victory, an incredible vehicle for manifestation, an opportunity to finally get there, a place you've been trying to go, or a feeling you've been trying to have. Usually Chariot it's incredibly capable, but look at it, Yellow Owl. Hopefully you can see it on the screen, and you can tell that if it is us and we are driving the Chariot, you might not be actually driving, because you could be playing a harp, Yellow Owl. And so for some of us, that symbolism that says we haven't taken active and direct control of our timeline or our spiritual and energetic momentum. It could also apply to a number of different, more specific scenarios in your life. But from one card social media perspective, this can be incredible capability that we haven't actually taken control of. You might not be actually steering your own vehicle. You can be at the mercy of others. You could be just surrendering to the flow of the moment and allowing yourself to be carried with, you know, whatever's going on around you. And yes, you can stay in the stream with the Chariot. You know, it'll just sort of run along. Look, those horses, they'll get going and they'll just keep rolling. They just keep running, right? Especially if you're not guiding your Chariot, Yellow Owl. And I'm not saying you're not. We're just giving you examples of how the chariot shows up. And so people have chariot energy and they're like, what? You're telling me I have victory? You're telling me I have capability and power? How come all this other stuff is going crazy? How come this or that's not working out in my life? You tell me I got control. The chariot's great, right? But if we're not actively taking control of our path, we'll feel out of control. And if people in your world, maybe people you live with, sometimes it's relationship energy, sometimes it's you, or just, you know, your reality bubble / sphere of influence, when that shows up for some people, you'll notice that horses aren't even pointing in the same direction. They're actually going different directions. And so we have to check our alignment, our mental alignment, mental body energy. That's the chariot driver. Who's in control? Secondly, physical alignment. Those are the horses. Are they actually pushing us in the or pulling us in the direction that we want to go? And so the chariot gives you control. It's like the universe giving you the keys, and they're all, here you go, yellow owl, go for it. Go crazy, kid. Go ahead, take the car. The problem is, if you don't know how to drive, and if you don't know where you're going, you know, sometimes it's you know, you will drive into a brick wall, or you'll just drive around the parking lot. Yes, we're getting very metaphorical, guys. You'll just circle around the parking lot. You won't go anywhere. And so take control over something in your life that seems to be born of planning and mental body momentum, something that you're capable of creating. And, you know, hopefully that's going to start to manifest for you. I also acknowledge the incredible generality of that energy. And my prayer is, if anything, push forward. So I hope that makes sense, Yellow Owl. Thank you for being here and being a part of this strange journey here today, guys. We have been here for quite a while, which is a beautiful thing. If you're one of the people that kind of tunes in later on and you're interested in learning how to awaken or unpack your own strand of multidimensional intuitive ability, first off, if you jumped in here, it's no mistake, and you will have that ability within yourself. It's something that every single person can unlock. And so we're going to be starting the next stage of those classes on March 28th. You guys can check out the website, rememberyourmission.com. It should be up in the description there of this live. It might not be on the YouTube description, but you can find me at rememberyourmission.com. And we're going to be launching the next stage of our courses in the coming month. And so please reach out. Also, I do private sessions, private readings, private energy clearings. Right now, it's 4 days a week. And so you guys can book that through my website as well. For those of you guys that want to be part of our next event, that is March 11th through the 14th in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I will be appearing there physically. We're going to be in Cocoa Beach, Florida with a bunch of amazing people for Starseed Adventures. And so if you're one of the people on the earth plane that can get down to Florida, it's a really cool opportunity. This is such a small conference, you guys. It's one of the times in your life where you will be able to physically connect and join forces with the people that you're watching and that you see. And, you know, those that are able to make it there, it's going to be life-changing. And for everyone else, let's say you're in another part of the world, you can get a live stream ticket and still take part in what we're doing. And I'll be honest with you guys, there's a chance, somebody might get mad if I say this, but whatever. I'm going to live stream my own thing there. I do it at every event that I have been at. Some of the other conferences I've done, you guys, it's like I've shown up to do it and they're like, who are you? What are you doing here? You know, and other ones, it's like I couldn't even get on the live stream because, I don't know, I didn't have, you know, enough followers on YouTube. I wasn't cool enough to get on the live stream. And so what I started to do is I just did my own live stream. And, you know, literally I've got a GoPro and we're, you know, like we're literally doing it on our own. And so, you know, I will be live streaming my own version of what I'm doing at Starseed Adventures and pretty much every single conference that I do. And so you will be able to see what I'm doing there. We might have to post it a day or so later, but it will be there. But for those of you guys that are interested, please check out the links for Starseed Adventures. Really good people, incredible people that have actual modalities and tangible skills that they are teaching and bringing to the multidimensional collective. People like John Vivanco, James Gilliland of ESETI, Z Earthstar. The names are coming back to me, you guys. Barry Littleton, Ivan Teller, who's a really fun channeler that a lot of people have been watching lately. I have been watching him as well, almost nightly, because it's just a really fun thing. And so Ivan Teller is going to be there. Journey to Truth, as we know. Tony Rodriguez, a whole bunch of really cool people. And so please do take advantage of that. If you're one of the people that's interested in watching that multi-day live stream, there should be a link up there. You can also put your email in on their website for a drawing. I think we're going to be drawing 5 people to win live stream tickets. I don't know what day that drawing is. It might be, in the coming weeks. So unfortunately, I don't have the full info on that, but take advantage of it if you are into that, you guys. And also for those of you guys that really want to learn tarot, find that link up there and reach out. We are going to be doing another tarot live stream in the coming weeks since we just wrapped up the chakra class. I'm kind of in tarot season now, you guys, and so we're going to be doing more of these. Thank you for watching this video. I realized we were going to talk about astral travel and all kinds of stuff, but it's been over 2 hours, and so thank you for those of you guys that have hung out this whole time as well. It means a lot to me wherever you are in the world. I'm not one of those people that's on everybody's podcast. Most people won't even acknowledge me to put me on their shows. And there was a stage when I used to write to all these people and say, hey, like, can I be on your show? I'm good. I'm cool. And, they would just ignore me. And so I stopped doing all that. And now we just do this with ourselves and with the people that are able to receive and hear this multidimensional signal. So thanks for finding it. It is no mistake. We'll be back probably next week with another strange installment. In the meantime, I love you guys. Please do share this video. Find us at rememberyourmission.com, and we'll see you probably about a week's time. Oh my God. And the one thing I was going to mention, we're debuting a new video on Wednesday. It is with myself and Henda Zaguani, which was the reason why I was going to talk about all these astral travels that we've been doing as well. And so unfortunately, we're going to skip that part today, but look out for a video releasing tomorrow on this channel about out-of-body experiences, astral travel. And I'll probably do a live stream after that to talk about it, for better or worse. But yeah, we got another new video coming out tomorrow that's going to be pretty cool. We haven't done any interview series in a while. I used to do strange communications in the digital realm for a while. But I don't know, it gets old. I'm definitely not one of those people that loves to do shows. I'm not one of those ones that wants to do a weekly show. We will if we have a reason and there's something fun to talk about. So we're kind of getting back into the stream of that. But anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It truly means a lot to me for you guys stumbling into this strange little chat group in this little room here. Please share this video and check in with us in a week. We are going to be giving away a pass to our tarot class next week. And so anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the future.